Right, that's all we've got for the Loop today, but you know the drill. Chicago Live is next. We'll send it on over to Jake to take it away. Have a great weekend.
Special Friday edition of Chicago Live. It is August 7th, and I am your host, Jake Hamilton. I'm very glad that to see leading that poll was the Bud Billiken Parade, because we're going to have someone from the Bud Billiken Parade on in just about 15 minutes. I cannot believe it is that time of year already. Of course, Bud Billiken is a huge sign that kids are getting ready to go back to school. Looking out the window, we are at the corner of Michigan and Lake right now. Looking sunny, looking beautiful. I can see the buildings, I can see the trees, which we can't always from this perspective. Can we take a few live looks around the city, see what things are looking at right now? Oftentimes we can peek in and look at the bean or maybe look at the skyline. Look at that, beautiful shot of the river. Significantly brighter, significantly more colorful it was than whenever we looked at it a little bit earlier this morning on the show. Things are looking good. Hopefully for a nice weekend before I know we got a little bit of weather heading this way starting on Sunday. We're going to have JD join us a little bit later in the show to talk about what our expectations should be, especially for those going out to Soldier Field to see the Foo Fighters over the weekend. And then, of course, just how bad that weather is going to be starting on Sunday. I saw when they do the 7-day forecast, I saw a couple of little of the thunderstorm symbols, and I know that they do not put those on there lightly. We got a lot of stuff coming up over the next couple of hours here on Chicago Live. We're going to go ahead and get started. Testimony continues today in the high-profile murder trial of Lindsay Clancy. Now, if you have been missing this, it's out of Massachusetts. Clancy admitted to killing her 3 young children in 2023, has pleaded not guilty by reason of lack of criminal responsibility, with her defense arguing that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis and was over-medicated. They are actually in recess right now. We've been able to sort of dip in and out over the last couple of days, and because they are allowing cameras inside of the trial. They are in recess right now, so we'll try to dip in a little bit. But for now, we're going to bring in Alice LaCour, attorney and co-host of the Prosecutors Podcast. She's been on the show many times before. Alice, thank you for taking the time. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, day 9. Where does prosecution stand after 9 days of testimony? What sort of case have they made so far?
So, the prosecution still has a case. They're putting on their case. It's going to go 6 weeks long or so as they estimate. They've started with, of course, Patrick Clancy, Lindsay's husband, the man who has lost everything, his children, his wife, his life. That was kind of a rocky start, to be honest. But since that time, we've heard from friends, their former nanny. We've heard from psychiatrists who treated Lindsay directly after as well as before the murders. So there's been a lot of testimony so far coming out exactly about Lindsay's state of mind. We've also heard devastating testimonies about the horrific actions that were taken against the 3 children, their autopsy reports, and exactly how they died.
Did you say it was a rocky start?
It was a bit of a rocky start in the sense that Patrick actually supports Lindsay. So 3 days after the murders, he came out and stood by his wife and said, "This is not my wife." And he has actually filed his own civil lawsuit against her practitioner, saying that they committed medical malpractice. So in a lot of ways, as much as you can be, Patrick is on Lindsay's side. And so he's what we call a hostile witness to the prosecution. It's an interesting choice for the prosecution to start their entire case with someone who actually does not agree with their stance of the case.
What has been the most significant piece of evidence or testimony that's been presented so far?
There have been a lot of bombshells, to be completely honest. One of the biggest ones early on was the fact that there was a doctor who treated Lindsay immediately after her suicide attempt. She was not successful, but she was not able to speak at the time because she had tubes in her throat. And she communicated by writing on a whiteboard. And when asked how she felt, she wrote, "I'm horrified." And then the next thing she asked was, "Do I need a lawyer?" Now, that was a really big piece of testimony because she never asked about her children. She never expressed any sort of grief at the time. And you could kind of feel the energy leave the room for a second as they realized the first thing on her mind was legal liability, which, of course, is what she's on trial for. legal liability, criminal liability here, rather than what we may think a mother would first ask, which is the well-being of her children.
So I kind of wanted to zero in on that. So the defense says that Lindsay was sort of suffering from a postpartum psychosis. How is that different than other mental health defenses that we've heard in the past?
So we're going to have to hear more about whether she had psychosis and the effects of psychosis. But in Massachusetts, the law has to be, it's not enough that you even have a diagnosis of postpartum psychosis. You have to show that the psychosis kept you from being able to act in a manner that appreciated the criminality of what you were doing. So basically, she had to have no control over what she was doing. She didn't know she was doing it. She didn't appreciate that it was criminal to murder her children. So it's not enough alone to show that she had psychosis. And that's where all the medical experts will really come in.
How difficult is that? How difficult is it to prove or disprove that someone lacked a criminal responsibility because of a mental illness?
So it differs state by state. I will say Massachusetts law has adopted something that is, I guess, on a scale somewhat easier in the sense that the prosecution, of course, has to put on their case. The defense just has to show basically enough evidence that there was mental illness. All of a sudden, the burden then shifts back to the prosecution to show that insanity defense doesn't apply here.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what sort of evidence does a jury look for in this situation when evaluating whether a lack of criminal responsibility? From their perspective, what do you think that they're looking for?
Man, this jury is really going through the ringer. This is probably one of the toughest cases any jury can hear. So I have a lot of empathy for the jurors here. You know that every single person is going to come in with some sort of emotion, right? These are 3 children who are not here anymore. That this trial will not change that. So first of all, it's devastating. Both the prosecution and the defense have to overcome that. Kind of visceral reaction to the fact that children are no longer here. So there's the emotional aspect. But of course, this is the court of law. We have to define a case based on evidence. I think they're going to really need to look at the actions that Lindsay took in planning this murder. There's already testimony that the 3 children were separated. They were strangled one at a time, not all at once in maybe some sort of a frenzy or some sort of snap. It was planned. She took actions to make sure that her husband was out of the home long enough so that she could execute these actions. And we're going to really have to dive into her medical history because she has a very extensive one. She was prescribed over a dozen different types of medications over the course of a few months before these murders occurred. They will react differently for every person, and we're going to have to see what the experts say in this case.
Alice, I'm going to be honest with you. Just talking about this is not an easy thing. As I'd imagine anyone at home hearing the details of this case, it's not an easy thing. You just mentioned that you do not envy the jurors, that this is going to be a difficult case for them to just have to sit there and listen to the details of. I had heard that already, just 9 days in, a lot of emotions in this courtroom. Can you talk to me about just what within the courtroom, just, at the end of the day, they're human beings in there listening to the horrific details of this case. What the first 9 days have been like, and how do you, you're talking about weeks, this case going on for weeks. How you sit there for weeks and hear this over and over again?
You're completely right. There have already been incredible moments in court where they've had to take recess, which means they have to pause court and take a break for everyone to collect themselves. One of the most intense moments was during Patrick Clancy's testimony. It was on day 2 of trial, and they actually excused him from the stand because they knew how upsetting this next part was going to be. And that was his 911 call, which captures him finding his children for the first time. They did not broadcast that call because it was so disturbing, and there were motions to be made to not broadcast it. So the jury and the courtroom heard it. The rest of us watching on live streams did not hear it. But it was so upsetting, and apparently the jury was bawling their eyes out, the gallery was bawling their eyes out, that the judge had to take an entire hour break for everyone to collect themselves before testimony could continue. You can imagine there's going to be much more of that. Lindsay Clancy is still alive. She was not able to end her own life the same night she ended her children's lives. She's sitting in court, obviously, on trial. She's in a wheelchair. She has not spoken much because she's just the defendant. but the jurors can see her, and she is sobbing most days of trial. Whatever you think of her, it is, of course, difficult to put out of your mind that someone sitting in front of you is sobbing, day in and day out, and will be for the next several weeks. We don't know why she's sobbing, but that level of emotion, I think, is brimming in the courtroom every day.
Alice, with any case like this, any massively high-profile case, particularly one that's now being broadcast out for anyone to watch, there are inevitably going to be conspiracy theorists, people who think that they have the right answer. They've been sitting at home, they've been looking at the evidence, and they see a thing that no one else sees. Do you hear that a lot, and are you hearing any particular conspiracy theories in regard to this particular case?
Unfortunately, yes. Conspiracy theories are age old. They're always going to continue. I don't know why, because true crime, unfortunately, is interesting enough without conspiracy theories. In this case, you kind of have to pick which conspiracy theory you're going to go with each case. I'm very disappointed in the conspiracy theory that's taking shape in this case, and that is it's circulating on TikTok. It's on social media. It's that Patrick Clancy, the father who found the children, and that 911 call sent the entire courtroom into tears for an hour, that he was the one who murdered the children, and somehow through mind control, was able to convince his wife, Lindsay, that she was the one who murdered her children, and he framed her for it, and she's now on trial for it. That's a conspiracy theory. If that sounds wild to you and not evidence-based, you're right, because it's actually undisputed in this trial that Lindsay was the one who strangled each of her 3 children. She filed a civil lawsuit, just like Patrick did, a separate one, against her medical providers for medical malpractice. And in it, she admits that she was the one who strangled each of the 3 children. So it's not even an issue, but that's how conspiracy theories go. They're never really rooted in the facts. But I will discourage people from clicking on those sorts of conspiracy theories, because it's doing immense harm, not only for the memory of these children, but for a man who is not on trial for the murder of his children.
Well, anyone right now has the ability to be able to watch this trial. We can dip in live to it. I think we just did, but they were in recess right now. And it's because cameras are being allowed inside the courtroom. Sometimes right now we're taking a live image right now out of the courtroom. Sometimes they are allowed, sometimes they are not. How do you feel like the ability to broadcast what's happening inside of that courtroom, and for the public to be able to watch day in and day out, aside from the occasional moments that we were talking about, how does that affect the case, and also just public perception of this case?
I love that people have access to the judicial system, because the judicial system is supposed to be for the people. So any courtroom, unless it's a sealed case, which is a minority of cases, you should be able to walk into a courtroom because it's your justice system. And you should be able to sit there on the benches and watch whatever proceeding you want. So in some ways, cameras in the courtrooms allow that type of access to the lay person. We can't all travel to Massachusetts to watch this important trial. So it does give us that type of access that the judicial system was envisioned to have. With that said, whenever you have cameras involved, there's nuance that's going to be lost. You only get one angle. You don't necessarily get to feel the tenor of the room or know all the conversations that are happening. And that's where things can get misinterpreted. And also, you have witnesses and you have jurors who recognize that their trial is being broadcast for millions to watch. That can lead to a level of stress that may negatively affect their ability to testify. Not that they're going to lie, but everyone gets nervous when there are lights and cameras on them. So it is a very difficult tension that you always have to grapple with a case like this.
Alice LaCour, attorney, co-host of the Prosecutors Podcast. Fascinating insight. Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Of course. Before we go to break, guys, we're actually going to listen in. Day 9 of the Lindsay Clancy murder trial has returned from recess. Let's listen in.
Exactly, but they were ones that did not seem concerning.
And in your experience, in your training and experience as a psychiatrist who prescribes Zoloft, what are the common side effects that you deal with, that patients deal with from this medication?
So in the first couple weeks of treatment, we described that there's a lot of serotonin in the gut as well as the brain. So the medicine often affects the gut first. So you might have diarrhea, constipation, difficulties with appetite, nausea, things like that.
And you also wrote in the note about history of present illness, 3 months postpartum, also 4 and 2-year-old feeling overwhelmed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that came from the patient, Ms. Clancy?
Yes.
And furthermore, you wrote that the baby needing more attention, other kids more challenging too. Is that coming from the patient?
Yes.
And does she also describe she's having trouble leaving the baby, too anxious to do anything when she leaves, physical tension, heart racing, worries he won't eat or sleep because he's refusing the bottle?
Yes.
And did she say that makes her irritable?
Yes.
And in that same note is where you detail that she denied audio hallucinations, visual hallucinations. You also, correct?
Yes.
And you also detail suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation, denies, no concern about hurting baby. Is the no concern about hurting baby, is that an observation you're making or something that came from Ms. Clancy?
It came from our conversation.
So at some point in time, she told you she had no concerns about harming the baby.
Yes, it was.
I object.
Just an objection? If you could rephrase that question.
What did she tell you about her thoughts about the baby?
I asked if there were those thoughts, and she denied them.
We're going to dip in throughout the next couple of hours here on Chicago Live into day 9 of the Lindsay Clancy murder trial. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. Just about 1:17. Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back, 119 on Chicago Live. I feel like I say this every year around this time of year. I can't believe Bud Billiken is already back. Chicago's iconic parade. Full disclosure, my personal favorite parade in the city of Chicago returns this weekend, continues a tradition that's been going on, believe it or not, 97 years. Also a sign for a lot of people that we're beginning to wrap up summer. Don't hate me for saying it. It's kind of true. Kids are getting ready to go back to school. And so we're going to bring in Dr. Maiti Singstack Rice, current CEO of the Bud Billiken Parade, and Lisa Ray McCoy, this year's Grand Marshal. Ladies, I had the chance to see you in person yesterday. In person's always better, but I'll take Zoom too. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us again.
Of course. How are you guys feel? I mean, I know every time we talk, we're a little bit closer, a little bit closer, a little bit closer to the parade. I mean, we can measure it in hours now if we really wanted to. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. We had to stop and get a little lunch because we've been at this for a while, letting everybody know about the parade tomorrow, starting at 10 o'clock down King Drive. But we had to get a bite to eat, and we get Chicago pizza.
Wait.
So we're in the theme of Chicago.
That's right.
Here's the question. What Chicago pizza are you eating right now?
Oh, you want to know, don't you? We're in Lou Malnati, so we gave them a free plug.
Yeah, you better get that pizza for free. All right, listen, whenever I describe, because I often tell people, and I've told you this before, it's my favorite parade in the city of Chicago, and I've been to all of them just about. And whenever people ask why, I always just say, it's a vibe. It's a vibe at the Bud Billiken Parade. How do you describe the parade and its significance in history for people that have never been before?
So first of all, we are 5 generations in 97 years and almost like 100. We're on the road to 100. And we couldn't ask for a better Grand Marshal to lead us out there with the legacy that she carries. She's amazing. And all the kids love her. Every generation loves her. So this is going to be a wonderful family affair of us all coming together.
Lisa Ray, I got to ask you, have you been practicing your Grand Marshal face in the mirror? Because you know everyone's going to be looking at you.
Let me tell you, I have been prepared all my life for this. I've been waiting for this. So I am ready. I'm bringing the noise. I'm bringing the energy. I'm bringing the vibe. I am bringing it all Chicago style, okay?
I love this. I was telling you yesterday that one of the reasons that it is my favorite, one of the many, many reasons, I'm a big hugger. Ask everybody here at the station. You know what? Our director walks in the room. I'm giving him a hug. And the Bud Billiken Parade is probably per block the most hugs I give out at any time in a year, and I'm just love. Are you ready, Lisa Ray, to just all the? I mean, it's probably going to be the most hugs you've ever given out in just a couple of hour period.
I think so, but I'm prepared for it because I have a big personality and I have a lot of love in my heart. And so I'm very excited about seeing all the smiles from the kids that's going to be there. So I have my wave down pat. I have my point down pat. I got my hand down pat. I'm ready.
No, she has her dancing shoes down packed. She's ready to dance. She's good. She gets out there with the kids. They love it.
I like that we're getting a little preview. Wait, hold on. Let me see your parade point. Let me see it.
Oh.
You have been practicing. Oh, come on. Not the shade. The combo of the nod and the point. Come on. It's the acknowledgement and the confirmation at the same time. I'm loving that.
There you go.
Maiti, this has been a part of your family for a while now. What does that mean to you to keep that tradition going?
Oh, it's such a blessing. It's my dream job. I love it. And I believe we're going to continue because we pour back into the youth. So many people come back every year because they have a Bud story. Everybody has a Bud Billiken story from when they were kids and they came back out. So that's why.
What does that mean to you whenever you hear someone say, and Lisa Ray, I think you were saying you have memories of when you were out there as a kid, but when you see grandparents out there with their grandkids, and the grandparents are telling the grandkids, when I was your age, I was out here watching this parade. I mean, there aren't many things in our life that our grandparents can say, you know what, we're doing the exact same thing today that we were doing then.
That's me. That will be me tomorrow morning on my float. I am having my granddaughter and my daughter join me because I want them to feel the Chicago air and energy. I want them to know that this is historical, nostalgic. I want them to know that this is what legacy and building a community up is all about.
That's right.
There's an expression, and Maiti, I think I said this to you before, that I think perfectly sums up Bud Billiken, which is we party with a purpose. We're going out there, we're having a good time. It's nothing wrong with having a good time, but if you can attach it to something good, if you can attach it to something right, if you can party with a purpose, all the better.
That's
And I'd
right.
say that's what Bud Billiken does.
It really does. And we have the festival where we're giving away stuff for the kids, the back to school supplies, hair braiding for the girls, haircuts for the boys, all kinds of fun things to do. We've been working year round to make this happen. So we are excited to be able to share that with everybody in the community.
You know, I really do, and I make this joke a lot. I feel like it's a testament to this parade that you can somehow convince a group of school children that it's exciting that the summer is over, that there's nothing wrong with going back to school. And listen, my girlfriend's a teacher, so I'm all for reminding kids that going back to school can be an amazing thing. But what does it say that, like, I mean, I've been out there before. I've seen the kids excited. I've seen the kids be a part of the parade. I mean, I feel like they're the most excited kids in the country to actually wrap up the summer and go back to school.
Yeah, you know what? We have a contest at the end where all the kids get to, they get their uniforms together and all of that. And so it's bragging rights when they win and they can go back and say, oh, we won at the Bud Billiken Parade. So there's intent there too. They're excited. They planned for this all year.
As everybody should. Listen, I know the responsibility, the honor of being Grand Marshal is one that no one takes lightly. Mighty, I'm really curious, how often during the year does your phone blow up with suggestions of who Grand Marshal, and how often do people suggest themselves?
Oh yeah, some people, and you got A, B, C, D, E, F, G listers. And she said, yeah, I got people, everybody who wants to do it. They're like, I'll be the Grand Marshal. I'm like, yeah, well, they got to be big like Lisa Ray. I'm sorry. That's it. Period.
Listen,
point blank. She set the bar high.
You know what? And that bar remains high. And again, it's also, I love to remind people that if you're coming out to watch, there's really no spectators with Bud Billiken, because in some form or fashion, everyone's participating. Even if you're sitting in the bleachers, even if you're bringing out chairs and your cooler and you're hanging out watching Lisa Ray roll by and watching, the Jesse White tumblers blow by, you're still, in a way, you're a part of the parade. So everyone gets to be a part of it in some form or fashion.
That's the truth. You know what? When she goes by and looks at somebody and waves, they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. I already know.
And I want them.
Yeah.
Wait, Lisa Ray, give me the point and the nod one more time. I want to see it. I want to see how you've been practicing. There it is. The nod. It's the acknowledgement and the confirmation. You really have been. I truly believe you've been practicing that in front of the mirror. I think you've nailed that. I see it. I see it. You Daniel Day-Lewis in that thing. You're going full method. I love it. How do you? I know people. They post up early. They grab a spot. They want to have the best spot. What do you? Whenever people text you, I know your both of your phones are probably blowing up right now, and they say, "Listen, where do I need to be? What's a good intersection, and what time do I need to be there?" What do you tell people?
Well, first of all, 10 a.m. King Drive. You come on, get ready. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful day.
But you got to get there early, though, because if you want a prime seat, everybody's going to be out there. Not just the people that live on King Drive, which they get a first choice because they're on the porch, they're on the curb, they're bringing out their lawn chair, but you can bring all the things that you need and walk on down King Drive and find you a spot and they say copper squat. Copper squat. And come on and join us.
I know we've got, once we wrap up this year, which we haven't even done that yet, we've got 98 and we've got 99.
Yeah.
But when we hit 100, I know this is the road to 100.
Yeah.
There's got to be, is the pressure already on? You've got two other all parades you got to get through before we even get there.
We're talking about that now. So
no, are we talking about 100 now?
We're not put the ticket before the end. So we got some surprises. We're talking about it. But this year, right now, we want everybody to come on out tomorrow morning and enjoy what we have to offer them.
That's right.
So you're not just having pizza. You're having legit, serious, important conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're not messing around now. We got things to do.
We got to bring it. We're going to bring it.
This is how I know you two are the best ones for the job, because you're having important conversations. You're joining live television during pizza. You're doing it all right. Ladies, I am so excited for you. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm here at the desk tomorrow, so I won't be out there with you, but I'll be with you in spirit. Give everybody a hug. I know. But give everybody a hug for me, and I'll see you guys soon, all right? It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
Of course. See you later. See you later.
Okay.
All right.
I love the point. I love it. All right, guys. Coming up on 1:30. Lots more to come on Chicago Live. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Just about a little after 1:32 on Chicago Live. More companies these days, obviously, post-pandemic, are still embracing hybrid work. Many turning to new technologies to better understand how space is being used. We're going to talk with Anna Levine. She leads the Experience Services for CBRE's Building Operations and Experience Division. Anna, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Jake.
I want to talk about sort of these tools that use, is this correct, sort of they gauge occupancy and thermal sensors to measure how people are using a space? What does that mean exactly?
Well, before I tell you about those thermal sensors, I just wanted to paint the picture for why they're important these days. And that's because almost every employer, when their teams are in the office, want to drive connection among their employees. And in fact, we found that 77% of people come into the office almost only to see their colleagues. This has, of course, been magnified by COVID, which opened all sorts of questions about where we work, how we work, when we work. And so to your question, employers are using heat sensors to try to understand how space is being used so they can better it for their employees.
So you said to better understand, what is it exactly that they take from the information? What can be gleaned from these heat sensors?
So they're not looking for, where is Jake at 2 p.m.? They're really
Right.
trying to understand how the population at large is using the space. It's almost like a city looking at traffic patterns to figure out how they improve the roads, where they change the timing of the lights. So the thermal sensors can sense things like, are the phone booths always full? Are people running around looking for places to take calls? Are the conference rooms the right size? Or is there always a really big group trying to cram into a small space? Is that main cafeteria overflowing at lunch when everyone tries to eat lunch together? So they're trying to see those broad patterns and figure out what to do about it.
Is it at all used to gauge a worker's work performance, or is it figuring out the physical actual workflow of an office?
Just the physical workflow. I mean, it's understandable for employees to seek transparency about what their employers are measuring, and absolutely employers should share that information. But these kinds of sensors really just see what's happening in aggregate. They can't see who you are or what you're doing. They're seeing where are people in space and how are they using it.
Can you talk to me about how the sensors work actually?
They can basically detect heat. so they can see humans that are in a space. I suppose they could also see your pets if you brought them into the office.
Which we do sometimes here. And then the ultimate benefit, what is sort of the optimized then office layout? If they sort of look at all this information using these heat sensors in the office and they're able to pull certain information from there, what does the optimization look like in an office?
So there's been a lot of debate over the past half decade since the pandemic about, as you were saying, where we work, how we work, that's all been thrown up in the air. And I would say at this point, most companies have settled into what they believe their teams should be doing. But what they all agree on is that if you are in the office, you want to be there to form relationships with other people. So what most companies are using this information to do is to figure out whether the space they've designed supports those relationships. And they might notice that the cafeteria is jammed at lunch because lo and behold, everyone wants to come eat lunch together. So maybe they would open up an additional outdoor seating area. Or they might notice that the phone booths are always packed at 2 p.m. when people are doing calls after lunch, and they might add more phone booths. And their goal ultimately is to improve their employees' experience so they can do their best work and really treat the office like a product that's constantly improving every single month.
Are you finding certain types of companies are using this technology more than others?
I work with companies across sectors. You might think that technology companies would lean in here the most, but I actually find across technology, financial services, life sciences, industrial, consumer, everyone's really solving for their employees these days and trying to do everything they can to understand how their employees are using these offices to make them better and better.
On paper, this all sounds, it makes sense, trying to utilize the office space in the most logical way. If an employee, though, hears this and they say, hey, listen, there are heat sensors and they're gauging where we're at any given moment. I don't know how I feel about it. How do you answer a worker's maybe discomfort, for lack of a better word, with this kind of technology?
My approach would just be to be transparent and say, hey, here's what it sees. It sees there's a human there. It's not biometric. It can't see your identity. It's not looking at your face. We're literally counting humans. There are 300 humans in the cafeteria today. There's 1 human in that phone booth. There's 7 humans in the conference room. And it's really hard to manage to a great space without measuring that space, just like any of us in business know. So this is one way of measuring what we want to manage to, which ultimately is in service of employees' happiness and productivity.
Are employees told in advance that this technology is being installed?
Most companies have internal protocols for how they're sharing with their employees what they're measuring across the board, whether that's in the space or in other areas of their work.
All right, fantastic. Anna Levine, we appreciate the clarification. Thank you for taking the time today. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay. All right, guys, just about 1:37 on Chicago Live. More to come in just a couple of minutes. We'll be right back. back. 140 on Chicago Live. We're going to dip back in live to day 9 of the Lindsay Clancy murder trial. Let's listen in.
Had loss of appetite, diarrhea. She was feeling, her mood was down. She was tearful and feeling very foggy and feeling very anxious.
Now, what is the lowest dose of Zoloft that you would prescribe a patient or could prescribe?
The smallest pill is 25.
And what's the highest dose of Zoloft?
200.
Okay. So she was on the lowest dose of 25, is that correct?
Yes.
And then according to what she told you, she had increased for one night to 50 milligrams, is that correct?
Yes.
Did she also tell you she was scared to start something new?
Yes.
Is that in terms of another medication?
Yes.
So what was your discussion with Ms. Clancy when she's telling you that she's having these issues with Zoloft, but she's afraid to try something new?
So we discussed what to do moving forward. So we discussed whether it would make sense to switch to a different medication at that point. And at that moment, because of her negative experience with the Zoloft, she did not want to start a new medication at that point.
At this meeting with her, did you ask her if she had any suicidal thoughts?
Yes.
What was her response?
No.
Did you ask her if she had any homicidal ideation or thoughts?
Yes.
What was her response?
No.
Did you ask her if she was hearing any voices or seeing any visual hallucinations?
I'm not sure if I asked that in that appointment, but she was very clearly not psychotic.
And why do you say that?
Because of how I described some of the signs of psychosis that are on the mental status exam, none of those were present.
Okay. What was her affect during this meeting?
It was depressed.
And did you write that that she was? Strike that. What was it about her affect that made you write that she was depressed?
She visually appeared like she was feeling sad.
And her mood, how did she report that to you?
That was depressed as well and anxious.
What about her thought content and process that day?
That was appropriate.
And her speech?
It was appropriate.
And her judgment and cognitive skills?
Her judgment was excellent, and her cognition didn't have any deficits.
And her psychomotor activity?
Normal.
So the main change here from previous visits was that she appeared depressed and anxious?
Yes.
Although she had appeared anxious that first visit, correct?
Yes.
So to make sure we have the timeline correct, the first visit she appeared anxious, the second visit she appeared to be doing better, the third visit she still had that poor insight when you met about the paperwork, and then this fourth visit she appears depressed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did she also tell you that she was worried about getting suicidal thoughts?
Yes.
So that would have come directly from her, correct?
Yes.
And what was that? What were the details of that conversation?
So it was one of the things that she was anxious about. It was a fear of one day having suicidal thoughts if she were to continue to feel poorly.
Okay. And showing you page 77 of Exhibit 219, I know you said earlier you weren't sure if you asked her about audio or visual hallucinations, but just directing your attention to the integral history, if that refreshes your memory.
Yes.
So did you ask her about audio hallucinations and visual hallucinations?
On the 21st, I did.
Okay. All right, so then there was an appointment the following day on October 21st?
Yes.
So why did she have an appointment that following day?
Because she was feeling pretty poorly after starting the Zoloft, so we were following her closely.
And at that point, you knew that she had had an appointment on the 3rd with Ms. McAllister, correct?
Yes.
And do you know whether or not she had followed up making another appointment or was struggling with that?
She was planning on making another appointment. I don't know when that second appointment was scheduled.
When that first appointment where she was seeming depressed and having issues with Zoloft on October 20th, did you tell her to stop taking the medication at that point?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you discuss other options with her other than medication, like natural remedies?
Yes.
And what type of natural remedies did you discuss with Ms. Clancy?
So I mentioned things like fish oils, something called L-methylfolate or SEAM. These are supplements.
And why would you offer alternative remedies to a patient?
So it was because she seemed reluctant to start a prescribed medication. I thought she might be more open to something that was natural.
So you weren't pushing her to take a prescription medication, correct?
No.
Now, on October 21st, when you saw her, did she tell you that she hadn't been able to get any sleep the night before?
Yes.
You've already said she told you she wasn't having audio or visual hallucinations, correct?
Yes.
Did you ask her if she was having suicidal ideation or homicidal ideation?
Yes.
And what was her response?
No.
What was her affect that day?
It was depressed.
And did she tell you during your conversation that day that she had been anxious all day, not depressed or irritable, getting better?
Yes.
Okay, so she's telling you she's not depressed, but her affect to you appeared depressed. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is that for the same reasons you stated earlier, those visual cues that you saw?
Yes.
Did she appear hyper or manic in any way?
No.
Was there any changes in her rate of speech or pattern of speech?
No.
Was there any difference in her mental status exam?
No.
And this appointment, was this appointment virtual as well?
Yes.
Had all your appointments up to this point been virtual?
Yes.
Was she alone in that virtual meeting?
Yes.
What was the plan that was formulated on October 21st?
So the plan was that she start a medication called Ativan to be taken as needed, which means not necessarily every day, but in the instance of severe anxiety.
And how did you explain to Ms. Clancy when to take the medication?
I don't remember exactly how I explained that.
Okay. So in general, as a psychiatrist, when you're prescribing a medication like Ativan and you're telling a patient to take as needed, what does that mean?
So it means when the symptoms are present, and in this case in particular, when the symptoms are severe.
So with Ms. Clancy, what were the symptoms that she was experiencing that made you decide that Ativan would be an appropriate medication?
Anxiety.
So would it be when she was feeling anxious, feeling those symptoms of anxiety, that she should take the medication?
Yes.
And what was the dose again?
0.5.
What's the lowest dose of Ativan you can give?
0.5.
What's the highest dose?
Maybe 2.
Okay. So you started her at the lowest dose, the 0.5.
Yes.
And was there a specific time frame that you wanted her to try this in?
Yes, this was for 1 week.
And was the prescription for a 1 week amount, or is it hard to tell that because it's as needed?
it's hard to tell that without seeing exactly how many pills were prescribed.
And was there also, again, a recommendation to go to Ms. McAllister for therapy?
Yes.
And when were you recommending follow-up with Ms. Clancy?
1 week.
And why a short turnaround at this point?
Because she was still having very significant symptoms.
And did you in fact see her on October 26, 2022?
Yes.
And at that appointment, what was Ms. Clancy's affect?
Depressed.
What was her mood according to her?
It was anxious and depressed.
And did you discuss with her whether she was taking the Ativan and whether it was working?
She said that it was not helpful for her sleep, but it made her feel less anxious.
And in this appointment, there was a discussion of Benadryl. Is that correct?
Welcome back. 154 on Chicago Live. This is going to be a great conversation. Thousands of Polish American Catholics are taking part in the annual Polish Marian pilgrimage this weekend. It is a 2-day, 33-mile journey from Chicago to Maryville, Indiana. We're going to bring in Father Eric Bem to talk all about it. Father, thank you for taking the time, sir. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
33 miles over 2 days. That is most certainly a pilgrimage. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I started probably 40 years ago with a small group of people, Polish people, who were traveling to Indiana from Chicago. It happens that Salvatorian Fathers, my religious order I'm part of, started that ministry here, patriotic, religious, devoted to one of the biggest sanctuaries dedicated to Mary, Black Madonna in Częstochowa in Poland. And by now we have a beautiful property in Maryville, Indiana, with a huge sanctuary, as you see. We are still recovering from tornado, which touched down here 2 months ago. And by now, this is the 39th pilgrimage, begins tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning in Immaculate Conception Catholic Church in Chicago and reaches tomorrow night a Munster, Carmelite fathers, and then takes off on Sunday early morning. And here we have a conclusion of that pilgrimage. We are expecting about over 5,000 people usually walks those 2 days, and about 5,000 others are waiting here for them. We have a closing mass with a local bishop, Bishop Robert. We have a guest bishop from Poland, Bishop Artur Ważny, who is going to walk on the pilgrimage as well, and another bishop from Chicago, Bishop Robert Fedek. And as I said, many priests are arriving, and this is just manifestation of our religious devotion to the Lady of Częstochowa, very Polish, as I said, devotion, and yeah, celebration, and also friendship and community and good Polish food available for all the pilgrims. Yeah, we're excited. I'm new to it too. I just arrived to Merville from Canada only a year ago.
Well, Father, I was going to ask you, 5,000 people walking 33 miles. I mean, based on stories that you heard from people who have done it, you mentioned this is the 39th pilgrimage. What is that journey like for people?
Well, I think many people are manifesting their faith. Many people are looking for that togetherness with, it's a biggest Polish event of that kind outside of Poland. Pilgrimages have been with Christians since the very beginning. Polish tradition is that people go on pilgrimages. They go to all kinds of sanctuaries, places. The biggest one is, of course, going to Częstochowa in August as well. Some people are probably trying to refresh or find again, reconnect with God, with their faith. Because when you look at our lives, it's one big pilgrimage. It's a journey. And that pilgrimage here on earth, those pilgrimages we practice, are giving us a chance to pray, to reflect, to meditate, and to be reminded that we are all on a journey to our heavenly home, to our Creator, to the one who put us here on earth. And that journey here, that symbolical journey with the manifestation of faith, is preparing us probably for that final journey and pilgrimage to our Father in heaven.
I love the sentiment that life is one big pilgrimage. I'd love to ask about sort of the logistical journey between Chicago and Maryville, 33 miles. Is there a very safe 33-mile path between the two that keeps everyone out of traffic and out of danger and keeps everybody okay?
Yeah, we need a permission. We are applying for permission from every town, city we go through. Mm-hmm. We apply for permission from the police stations on our way, and we have a wonderful collaboration with those districts, Chicago and to Indiana and police. Yes, they are escorted by the police. We have over 300 volunteers who are looking after our pilgrims. I just purchased 60,000 bottles of water so they don't collapse, especially when the weather is hot. And we have about 30 nurses, several doctors. They are journeying with them. So yes, from the logistic point of view, and I've been doing more and more of that preparation, although I have a lot of help here, it's a little bit of nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine. 5,000 people. I'd imagine. You got a long list. Can people still take part that maybe haven't signed up
Absolutely.
yet?
Absolutely. People can go on our website. We have an app also. When you press Salvatorian Fathers Pilgrimage Merville or Chicago Merville, you will find a way, or you can just show up tomorrow morning before 7 a.m. at Immaculate Conception St. Michael Parish in Chicago. Most people will be registering there. And you can join us even for the closing mass on Tuesday. Some people who used to walk pilgrimage cannot because of age or some health issues. They are joining us for the closing mass. Another 5,000 people are waiting here for the pilgrims. So our closing mass at 2 p.m. on Sunday here in Merville in our sanctuary. And now let me just show you a little bit of our side. You see we have 3,500 chairs prepared for those pilgrims. About 10,000 people participate in the closing mass.
It's going to be really an incredible sight whenever everyone arrives. I'm sure you have figured out, you mentioned the logistics, it being sort of a logistical nightmare. And so I'm sure you have already figured this out. But you do have a way to get everyone back, right?
We have buses
Okay.
for those who want to. We arranged about 28 buses for people who are trying to come to that Immaculate Conception Parish for the beginning of the opening mass, the beginning of the pilgrimage from I believe 10 sites in Chicago, where most of the Polish people live, and then most of our pilgrims have arrangements done by the family members, friends who come and pick them up. Many are leaving cars here on our property. The first car started arriving 2 days ago, but there are still 10 buses taking them back to the particular parishes from which they started traveling. Yes, it's altogether 38 buses journey in and out.
Father, obviously Chicago has one of the largest Polish American communities in the country. Do you hear of people traveling to Chicago to be able to take part in this?
Yes, from what I know, there are people even traveling from Poland.
Wow.
For the pilgrimage. There are people coming, of course, Indiana, Illinois, but Michigan. As I said, I've been here for a year, but there are stories of people coming from all kinds of states.
You know, I'd imagine if someone's taking part in this for the first time, there's a bit of preparation I'd imagine they need to go through, whether it be preparing physically, whether it be preparing emotionally, maybe it's even preparing spiritually. What kind of conversations do you have with people taking part the first time? Because there are a lot of different emotions, feelings, things that they might be experiencing over the course of 33 miles. A lot can happen in 33 miles. So what kind of conversations are you having with the first timers?
Well, we tell them to relax. On our website, there's a list of things to take, things not to take. We have arrangements of trucks that are traveling with their baggage if they come with too heavy backpack. Especially last year, the heat was incredible. We had medical support busy, very busy. People were getting exhausted because of the heat. And then come with the open heart. Everything is taken care of. They have water. We feed them on the way. We have stops. We have portable bathrooms. They are waiting for them at the stop sites. So if they come, they want to participate, we'll attach them to the right people. There's not too much to worry. It's a spiritual, religious, and community event. And I will not hide it. It's also very patriotic because it's very Polish.
Father, just really quickly before we go, you mentioned that you have a list of things to take and a list of things not to take. What is on the list of things not to take?
Not to take? What? They don't have to take food with them. They shouldn't take very heavy stuff. Raincoat, light in case rain comes. A bottle of water of their own if they wish. Medication, of course. Those are things to take. Not to take, I would strongly discourage to take booze, to pack too heavy for traveling. That's all.
That's good. Good advice. Good advice. Father Eric Bem, best of luck to everyone who's going to be making this journey. 33 miles over 2 days means a lot to a lot of people. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today. We really do appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Invite everybody to join us.
Yes, sir. We will. Absolutely. All right, guys. It is just about 2:05 on Chicago Live. Much more to come on the show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. 2:08 on Chicago Live. Music and astronomy are coming together at Chicago's Adler Planetarium. We're going to bring in Mike Smale to talk about how you can listen to the new album of Phoebe Bridgers in a way that most people probably aren't going to be able to, that don't live in the city or around the city, have access to the Adler Planetarium. Mike, thanks for taking the time, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well, Jake. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Tell us a little bit about, I saw, it's so funny. I got an email about this, and I kept seeing Adler, and I kept seeing Phoebe Bridgers, and I kept going, what are you talking about, Phoebe Bridgers at Adler? Explain what this is exactly.
Absolutely. So Phoebe Bridgers has a new record, new album coming out next Friday. It's called Lost Weekend. And a lot of times a new album comes out and there's maybe listening parties at record stores, things like that. But Phoebe and her management decided with this album to craft a planetarium-specific listening experience. So at only about 36 planetariums in the US and just about 40 worldwide are going to have this exclusive listening experience where audiences will be able to come in under the immersive planetarium dome, hear the new Phoebe Bridgers album before it is publicly released, and see it paired with one of two shows. In our case, it's going to be a beautiful night sky environment created by a National Geographic partner, a visual artist named Babak Tafrishi, who does real-time photography and time-lapse and sort of video capture of the universe. So we're really excited for the opportunity to be the only place in Illinois showing this version of the show, and the largest dome anywhere in the central U.S., bringing this experience to their audiences.
Listen, Mike, not that I'm complaining, because I think this is awesome, but where did Phoebe and her team, where did the planetarium connection come from?
Sure. So there's a couple, they reached out to us almost 6 months ago, actually. They first contacted us back in early February, and we're kind of pitching this sort of idea, and it kind of went through some twists and turns and like what the experience actually kind of looks like, what it actually feels like. It's possible there's going to be, they've been pretty tight-lipped on the details of the new album. There's one single that's out from it now. But if you do look around a little bit, there's some hints that there might be some sort of night sky, some celestial connotations to it. One of the vinyl pressings that they have available online is kind of a deep purple with like a sparkly gold that kind of looks like a starry night sky. There's a hoodie available they have tagged as like the planetarium hoodie, and it has like in sort of kind of a celestial design on it. So it's possible we might know a little bit more when we actually get the chance to hear the record, see the song titles, read the lyrics, things of that nature. But it's clearly been kind of in Phoebe and in sort of the band and the management's mindset for a while now.
I know we're a couple of days away from being able to experience this, but it stands to reason that you guys have to do tests, have to check it out, make sure it all works with all the technology. So have you had the chance to listen to the new album yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I have not had the chance to listen to the album yet. We're going to be receiving that pretty close to the start of the start of the first screening, which is next Tuesday. We're screening it here at the Adler between Tuesday and Friday, a total of 9 screenings. But basically, the band is working with a company who also happens to be our sort of primary system vendor, the company who made our planetarium, and they're going to be basically encoding the show kind of into the custom format we need to play back in our planetarium dome. And so we're basically getting that content from them, and then we'll be getting the music sort of right before, encoding it, programming it, and making sure that it's all sort of set and ready to go and lines up. It's a 53-minute experience. So it's a visual experience set to the entire runtime of the full Lost Weekend album.
Mike, is this at all comparable to the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon show that we had not too long ago?
Yeah, so it's definitely not that dissimilar. Music experiences, connecting art and science and music here at the Adler is something we actually do in our domes quite regularly. We have the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon show that's actually going to be running through the end of this year, and then it'll be sort of leaving our rotation. So that's sort of the other kind of music visual kind of listening experience that we currently offer on a daily basis here at the Adler. But then we've also done one-off events in the past couple of years with Chance the Rapper and Jeff Tweedy, Spectral Quartet, other musicians and performers in our dome. Because really, we're an astronomy museum, we're a planetarium, we have professional astronomers, we have researchers on staff. We love connecting people with the night sky, also with each other. But planetary, it's funny. You ask a lot of people, like, what is a planetarium? They're going to sort of recount what they remember from going in middle school. And they were like, it was the night sky, and there was a machine in the room that put the stars on the dome. But planetariums now are these digital immersive spaces, these immersive venues where we can yes, we can still teach astronomy, we can focus on the night sky, but we can really transport people, and we can take them to places they otherwise could never experience. And that's truly what we love to do with our immersive venues.
It's an amazing thing. Mike Smale with the Adler Planetarium. It's going to be fantastic. Thanks for taking the time, sir.
Yeah. You're very welcome, Jake. Thanks
All
for
right,
having
guys.
us.
Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live 215. If you're just joining us, down after the city cited them for violating permit rules. We're going to bring in Matthew Dimmers, a resident of Ravenswood and someone impacted by this. Matthew, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So what's going on with the tree houses? What were you told?
Well, there's two of them. One is in the house my wife and I recently purchased in the spring. It's in the Parkway tree out front. And the other one is down at the end of the block in a Parkway tree owned by, in front of a property owned by a neighbor. And after the bad storms we had last Monday night, I think, is down at the end of the block in a Parkway tree owned by, in front of a property owned by a neighbor. And after the bad storms we had last Monday night, I think, there were lots of tree limbs down, and a city crew came through, I guess, to clear up the limbs and get things right. And both myself and my neighbor, we noticed that there was a notice on both of the tree houses stating that they're non-compliant with the Parkway rules and they would have to be either permitted because there weren't any permits for them, or they would have to be removed in 15 days. And as soon as I saw mine when we were looking at buying this house, I'm an architect, and I said right away, well, don't get attached to that. That's not compliant. Eventually the city's probably going to flag that. But my neighbors has been there for more than a decade. So we thought we would probably have some time before all this actually started.
Matthew, maybe I'm getting up there in age, maybe I'm turning into an old guy, but I never really thought of neighborhood tree houses. You think of them when you're a kid, and they're just kind of, your dad's up there with board and nails, just kind of putting a couple of pieces together, and you get what you get. Have they needed permits for quite some time? Is it just something that I still have that kid mentality about tree houses? Have they always required permits?
Well, the trick with these is this is in the Parkway, so this is not technically our private property. This is owned by the city of Chicago. So it's not our tree. The previous owner built it. I think he was emboldened by the fact that the neighbor down the street had had his for a decade and no one came to do anything about it. But building a permanent structure in the parkway is kind of like going to Horner Park down the street and building a treehouse there. It's under the purview of the city of Chicago, and they're ultimately responsible for it. So if you want to do, if the tree was in my yard on my side of the sidewalk, or it was in my backyard, everything would be fine. The city wouldn't have any say in it at all. But this is a public tree on public property, so that's where it starts to get a little sticky. You can build very little in the way of permanent structures in the parkway. Everything has to be movable, demountable, that kind of thing. And they also shy what they really everybody loves the trees that line our sidewalks here in Chicago, and they're really keen. The city is really keen on keeping all those trees healthy and safe. And how are they supposed to do that if people are building ad hoc constructions and trees that the city is responsible for? It would be a pretty tall order. They probably would have to permit it. They would have to have inspections. You'd have to have a structural engineer, an arborist, all these sorts of things if you wanted to build a tree on public or build a treehouse on public property.
So specifically, what would need to be done to make everybody to be able to, keep the tree houses and make everybody happy? What are the things that need to be done? Well,
unfortunately, with this treehouse that the previous owner built on our parkway, it's pretty. This isn't in a gray area. This is not compliant in any way, shape, or form. So ever getting it permitted, or even getting like a variance, or applying to the city for the opportunity to build this, there would be almost no chance of them approving it in the way that it's currently constructed on the tree, a very robust, permanent treehouse. So mine's gonna have to come down, and as a matter of fact, I started taking it down last weekend because, again, 15 days is not a big turnaround to try to figure out the logistics of taking down one of these things. So you got to move right away. My neighbor, on the other hand, his is a lot higher off the ground, and his tree is older and kind of in bad shape. And at this point, the treehouse members of the treehouse are actually starting to hold the tree together and kind of keeping it alive. And he's worried that if he takes the whole thing down, the tree's going to die. And he has a pretty good case with that. So he might be able to make modifications to his treehouse and maybe get an extension to kind of figure that out. And, we're going to see if we can help him do that. The alderman, Vasquez, he's known about the tree houses for a long time, gave tacit support to both of them, and he knows what's happening, so he may be able to help the neighbor, work out some kind of a deal with the city. But for me, this is a robust tree house. I'm an architect. The previous owner that designed and built it was an architect. I mean, it's substantial. And it has a lot of wood in it, and we're going to reclaim and reuse all of the wood, and I'm going to reconstruct something that is compliant, that is demountable underneath the tree, so that the local kids on the block can still have a space that they can claim as theirs. Because this treehouse acts as a hub for the dozens of children that are on this block in the surrounding area. They all congregate here. They all come there. They love it, and so I want to give them back something special with the same material that this treehouse is built out of, so it's not a total loss.
Oh, that's great that you're kind of like looking at sort of the next step of how to, since this is a hub for local kids. I mean, you mentioned sort of working with the alderman, and the alderman potentially working with the city, and I was going to sort of ask you about that, because this is, and listen, I know you got to keep kids safe, and at the end of the day, it's a tree that's on city property, and that really changes things. But have you found that your alderman, have you found that the city itself has at least been sympathetic with the fact that, yes, okay, in the grand scheme of the city of Chicago, do we have bigger concerns than a treehouse? Sure. But for a lot of kids out there, this is a big deal. And like you said, it's a hub for them to gather with their friends, and I love that you're going to be replacing it. Have you at least gotten sympathy from some government officials about the situation that you're in?
Yes, from the alderman. The alderman's been great. His office is barely a block from here. So again, we know him pretty well. He knows the block. He knew about the tree houses. I'm sure he knew they weren't supposed to be there, but he was like, hey, the kids like it. Nobody's going to sue anybody. In terms of liability, everybody's kind of cool with it. So I haven't personally, on my end, been in contact with anybody else from the city, Department of Transportation. I don't know if it's Chicago Parks District. There's a lot of different sort of structures within the city. I'm not sure who I would even want to contact about putting up a fight, because again, with 15 days for turnaround, it's not really a lot of time to mount a fight. So whether or not anybody's been sympathetic, no, not really, but we haven't really tried, because again, from my point of view, there's no way the city was going to permit this thing. So I just have to try to make lemonade out of the lemons that I've been given. Like I said, and use this not as the end of this treehouse, but as just, you know, the beginning of another chapter, and whatever this space under the tree can be for the kids. Again, my neighbor down the street, Nate Hutchinson, he is, you know, undergoing he's going through more of a fight to try to save his house, his tree house, and his tree. So we'll see where that goes. And again, I would like to give support, and maybe we even thought if I take mine down, maybe they're more likely to look the other way with his. Maybe it's not as egregious having just one on the street instead of two. We're not really sure, but we're sort of keeping all the opportunities open, and sort of all the chips on the table to figure out the best course of action here.
Hey, you know what? But I love the idea, like you said, maybe closing one chapter and the next one starts, could be bigger and better. Matthew, we appreciate you taking the time. Keep us updated as new developments occur. We appreciate you.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, dude. All right, my man. Chicago Live rolls on 2/24. Much more to come right here. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to 227 on Chicago Live. We're going to dip in live real quick to Miles Square Health Center, where Governor Pritzker will be speaking in just a moment. He is looking to be signing a bill into law surrounding menopause education requirements. Let's listen in.
Historically received limited attention in medical education, leaving many healthcare professionals without the training they need to confidently address menopause care, so it often goes unanswered. Today's legislation helps to close that gap by expanding opportunities to evidence-based training. And this respects the demands of busy, often burned out healthcare professionals. UIC's Center for Health Awareness and Research on Menopause, or CHARM, we partner with the Illinois State Medical Society to turn the commitment into action. Together, we are developing educational resources that equip healthcare providers with the knowledge and tools they need to answer women's questions and provide high-quality, evidence-based care, whether they're in primary care, cardiology, mental health. This work strengthens CHARM's broader mission of advancing research, expanding access to care, and ensuring that women across Illinois have access to this care regardless of whether they live in rural areas or if they live in urban areas. So today in Illinois, we're doing more than passing a bill. We're recognizing menopause as an essential part of women's health, and we're investing in education that will improve care for generations to come. Other states are already approaching me about this legislation because we are leading the way. We are the blueprint, and I'm proud that we're leading the way. Thank you. It's now my honor to introduce Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, who's been a fierce partner in menopause, even talking about it herself in public engagements. So please join me in welcoming the Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for that kind introduction, Dr. Mackey. You know, shortly after taking office 7.5 years ago, Governor Pritzker appointed me as chair of the Illinois Council on Women and Girls. And we both had one aim: to make Illinois the best state in the nation for women and girls. And the council members, our partners in the General Assembly, and community leaders and advocates have been driven by this mission ever since. And today, we are getting closer to our goal once again by putting women's health and safety at the forefront. First, let's talk about menopause. And that in itself is exciting because here are your state's leaders making it clear that we're not shying away from saying the word menopause. Perimenopause and menopause symptoms.
All right, guys, just about 2:30 on Chicago Live. Much more to come on the show over the next 90 minutes. You don't want to miss it, but for now, we're going to roll a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live 232. Arguably the biggest story to come out of the city so far today. Illinois officials calling for stronger oversight after the remains of 57 people were discovered in various states of decomposition at Southeast Side Funeral Home. We're going to bring in Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza. Ms. Mendoza, always good to see you. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me, Jake.
Talk to me about your initial reaction whenever you heard this story.
It was absolutely appalling and horrific. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that, like, in your worst nightmares, you don't see. And we had to deal with this as an office over a year and a half ago. We shut down at the very first tip that we got about these horrific conditions that bodies were being held in a crematory. In my office, the Illinois Office of Controller is responsible for licensing and auditing crematories. But unfortunately, we are not on the funeral side of it. So we don't have any authority to investigate or hold anyone accountable there. But I will tell you that having experienced what we did, it was horrific, both for staff, for myself, for anybody who came into contact with the horrors of bodies on top of bodies in various states of decomposition, as you said, without the proper paperwork. And as a result of that, we immediately shut them down and then permanently revoked their license. These are the same actors that right now are under investigation on a different state agency level for running a funeral home in a very similar situation. I mean, these people should never be allowed to be anywhere near someone's loved one's body when they're deceased, and where they do belong is frankly in jail, as far as I'm concerned.
You mentioned, that you've been pushing for tougher regulations on crematories. Do you think that this story coming out, people responding to it the way that they have, is it going to have an impact and potentially end up having sort of that impact on funeral homes, as you were saying?
Well, we've already passed stronger regulations as a result of, what we went through on the controller side. Right. So we'll have a new bill that takes effect, a new law that takes effect starting January 1st of 2027, cracks down on them much harder, levies much harsher penalties and fines. We'll put them out of business when they act like this. But I do believe that something similar needs to be done regarding funeral homes. And I also believe that it's really time that we talk about whether it's the Illinois Office of Controller that should take full responsibility for managing both funeral homes and crematories, or the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulations taking over both responsibilities. I think the better job we can do in making these two industries, which are so similarly related, a one-stop shop for complaints and investigations makes the most sense.
Whenever this story came out and I first heard about it, unfortunately, one of the first things I thought was, does this happen more often than we might realize it does? To that point, should we be knocking on more funeral home doors for just making sure that everything is on the up and up?
I totally think we should. In fact, we've added a few additional auditors and staff members, investigatory type of staff to the controller side of the equation so that we can do these spot checks. This is part of the new legislation that gives us the authority to go in and investigate on any types of complaints, or even just do random spot checks to see that everything's moving correctly. At the same time, we need to be able to shut down these bad actors right away, not after like a 6 or 9 month process, but if we see wrongdoing, shut them down immediately and start levying serious fines against them. Now, on the funeral side, I mean, we should have the same kind of really stiff enforcement mechanisms available and have greater staff. Now, we'd have to hire hundreds of people, which is not feasible, to deal with the amount of funeral homes, or in our case, the amount of crematories in our state. But I do think that it's wise in terms of an advocacy perspective to make sure that we're protecting taxpayers when it comes to their decedents being cared for with dignity and honor at this very sensitive time. It makes sense to have the staff that will allow us to do a better job across the state of Illinois in any of these industries. The more staff you have and the more investigative staff you have, the better. But I also think we need tougher laws that would really levy not just financial penalties, but criminal penalties against people who disrespect these bodies in this manner.
And to that point, right now, obviously, anyone who's dealing with the loss of a loved one is praying and hoping that this is not, a situation that they're going to have to deal with. I know you mentioned, obviously, you don't have the thousands of people required to knock on every single door over the course of just a couple of days. These things take manpower and takes time. But are you pretty confident that similar situations are not happening anywhere else in Chicago or around the area?
What I can tell you is that we're doing everything we can on our part to follow up on any lead or even inkling of wrongdoing. And we always encourage the public, especially folks watching right now, if you have any suspicion of any kind of wrongdoing on the crematory side, please reach out to us or reach out, in this case, to Chicago Live to give them the tip, and you guys pass it on to us. We'll send our investigators out there immediately to go take a look, and if there's anything wrong, we will crack down on it right away. The same should be true on the funeral side. And so please, if you know of any wrongdoing, I heard stories about how residents in the area suspected stuff, but people need to call it in as well. Remember, we have hundreds of funeral homes across Illinois as we do crematories. In fact, more funeral homes than crematories. But this requires people calling these things in. Given that we do have reduced manpower to be able to audit everyone every day, we do rely on people calling these things in and then being able to go after them and shut them down.
And you're absolutely right. Obviously, any viewers that know anything, we take every call on Chicago Live and follow up on it. Like you said, right now, a lot of the oversight, the regulations you have following the crematories, less so with the funeral homes, though obviously there should be. So is it going to be harder to sort of keep an eye on the funeral homes until the laws that you're hoping will pass are passed?
Well, the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulations, they have the complete oversight on funeral homes. So even if I wanted to go check in on the funeral homes to look for this stuff, we don't have the legal authority to do that. The Office of Controller can do that for crematories, but not for funeral homes, which is why I'm saying that we should consolidate these functions in either one of the two offices. I'm totally in favor of this. This is not a turf battle for me. I just want the best possible service to our constituencies across Illinois. But I do think that whatever we can do to pursue, whether it's us or the Department of Financial and Professional Regulations, bad actors, that's what needs to be done. And on top of that, we should be moving forward with passing legislation that would criminalize this type of behavior. I think accountability is absolutely necessary, and in holding people, actual penalties, not just financial but criminal, and holding these really house of horror perpetrators accountable for their absolutely horrific actions.
What do you hope that other funeral home owners around our area take away from this story?
That I think the entire state of Illinois is watching them right now. And if you are behaving in any way other than a complete dignified and honorable way of treating these bodies, everybody's going to call you in. People will notice, they'll call it in, and the state of Illinois will come after you hard. If anyone is doing this in the crematory space, I look forward to putting you out of business and hopefully getting the authorities to crack down on these incidences criminally. It's not enough to slap their wrist and have them move on to opening another business under a different name. We have to put these people out of business.
You mentioned, if there are people in the area that have noticed things, that have seen things, that they should reach out, they should contact. Are there good signs? Are there things that people should be seeing and maybe they're seeing and don't realize that they're seeing? What are some signs that should be red flags for people?
So number one, if you just read the stories about what happened, I was reading them this morning. I read stories about people who said that they smelled, residents in the area, that they smelled terrible smells coming out of this facility in particular, and not just over the weekend, but for quite some time. And so that's not normal. You're not supposed to be smelling decomposing bodies at a funeral home or at a crematory. When these bodies are transferred to a crematory, for example, for folks who don't know, they have to be transported in a very specific way in a seal-proof container, and then each body has its own shelf within a refrigeration unit. So at no time should you be smelling decomposing flesh. That's a massive red flag that something is wrong. And if you're smelling it consistently, please don't just smell it. Call it in. You can call it into our facility, even if it is a funeral home, because we will then report it to the proper authorities. It's not our office, but we'll call over to IDFPR and say, hey, please send somebody out to take a look at this. But if you also experience something similar on the crematory side, we want to know about it, and we will take action, swift action, to crack down on it.
You know, no one ever chooses to have to deal with a funeral home or a crematory. It's a thing that's the result of an awful thing happening. But for someone that's maybe going through that experience, and because of this story, you know, they've kind of lost faith. They are apprehensive. I know on the crematory side, there's a little bit more of a reassurance that you can give people. But for anyone that's just going, listen, I'm already dealing with the loss of a loved one, the loss of a friend, and now I've got to worry about this. What would you say to that person?
That this is why this is that much more despicable, this behavior, because the only thing that families should be worried about when their loved one dies is grieving for them and having the easiest way through this most difficult process. You know, I lost my father when I was 22 years old. He was only 61 from a massive heart attack. I didn't think that as the youngest of 3 kids, it would fall upon me to have to like make these decisions in real time. And so I take this situation so personally because my father had always told me that he wanted to be cremated. And I thought my brother's 8 years older than I would be the one to have to come in that situation, but he was 3 hours away. And I had to go through the white pages back in those days, this is 30 years ago, to find a crematory, never thinking that it would fall upon me. And I know how heartbroken and devastated I was. I was literally vomiting from the grief. And I got through it because I honored my father's wishes, but the thought that maybe his body could have been desecrated the way I now know that so many bodies have, it really... It has stuck with me, and it's why I feel so passionately about going after these despicable people. And so I would tell those families, first and foremost, I am so sorry for your loss, and know that as far as what falls within my authority to do, I will advocate for you, and I will never stop fighting for you, and I'll do everything I can to help take these bad actors down on your behalf as well.
There you go. Susanna Mendoza, Illinois Comptroller, always a pleasure to chat with you. Truly, thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for covering this. It's
Absolutely.
An important story that needs to be told.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, guys, just about 2:45. Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. It's 2:47. Let's take some live shots around the city. Look at that. You got one of the cruises going down the river, going by the corn cobs, as Dan Aykroyd once called them to me. Beautiful day here in the city. We're going to have JD on the show at just about 3:30 to let us know what our weekend forecast looks like. But more importantly, all of our meteorologists, our entire team has talked about that weather that could kick off starting Sunday and also hang through town for just a couple of days. We're going to find out just how serious it's going to be. This is a live look right outside of our studio. Our studio is at Michigan and Lake. These are people that are crossing the street. I can see them right outside the window right now. Busy, bustling downtown Chicago. Can we take a live look at the bean, see what it looks like over there? I know we can do it. Look at that. Beautiful. Lots of folks out there. Some tourists, maybe even some locals. Taking in Cloud Gate, taking in a look, getting in all their selfies. Always fun to see people gathered around there. Beautiful looking Friday afternoon here in Chicago. It's 2:48. If you're looking to head back to the theater, and why wouldn't you be? Why not combine one of the great cinematic love stories and, of course, a theatrical musical all at the same time? The Notebook, the musical, is now playing at Broadway in Chicago's James Nederlander Theater through August 16th. We're going to bring in Alicia Delory, who plays Middle Alley in The Notebook. Alicia, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
I got to be honest with you. Notebook makes me cry every single time. I got to be honest, and I've always wanted to know, is the musical, if I go in, because whenever I see something that makes me weep, I always have to kind of try to hide it from my girlfriend, but she calls me out. She knows I cry at everything.
Right.
Do you hear the sniffles by the time this show's wrapping up?
We do a little bit, but I will tell you there's a lot of joy in the show too. There's a lot of beautiful music. There's a lot of laughter. Just like life, it's not all sadness. There is some sadness in there. There's some reality in there, but there's a lot of joy. There's a lot of love. In this production, there's no dancing. There's no jazz hands. It's more of a play with really beautiful music by Ingrid Michaelson. And I think no matter who you are, everyone has some sort of relationship with this story, can connect to it in some way, young or old, male or female. So I think people are often surprised how much they enjoy the show, especially men. So,
well, I got to tell you, I think it's such a testament to this story, whether it be the film or whether it be the musical. I mean, the movie came out a while back, and people are still watching it. People are still talking about it. Ryan Gosling still gets asked about it in interviews. Why do you think that, there are romantic movies that come out in the movies all the time that we forget about after 6 weeks? What is it about this one that you think resonated with people so much that not only are we still talking about it, we're now seeing different versions of it?
Well, I really do think because it's a universal story. There's young love in there. There's something for everyone and it's a decades-long love story that keeps going on and on, despite all of the struggles they have. And it's a way to take yourself out of the mundane and just let yourself get swept up in, the transcendent power of love.
I got to ask you, the movie came out in 2004. I remember where I would have been a junior in high school whenever that happened. Oh my God. Do you remember the very first time you ever saw the film?
Oh yeah, of course I do. Of course.
Tell me about it.
I was like 14 or 15. I'm a millennial. So it was like the prime. It was like the first time I was like asking myself, like, what is love all about? Like, I've seen that movie so many times. I watched it with all my girlfriends. I watched it with several boyfriends, like my family. I loved the movie growing up. So getting to do this show was like a very real treat. And getting to portray it in this way at this time is also very special to me. Because I think the music is the only thing that, we didn't have in the movie that I think really takes it to another level.
But what I think could be kind of cool is, yes, so many of us have seen the movie, and that's great. But it stands to reason that there are going to be people in your audience, maybe a younger generation, for whom the musical is going to be their introduction to this story. They're going to see the musical first. What does that mean to you to know that you could be the gateway for an entire generation to see this story for the very first time?
I think it's great. I think that there's like like I said, I think as much as the story retains the essence of the movie, you know, the movie's very literal. It's very beautiful. It's all told sort of in like picture. And here you get this metaphorical version where you get all this beautiful lighting and the deep thoughts of the characters through song. And, you know, I think it does an excellent service to the original film. And it adds, of course, the element of just watching it happen live in front of you. And the music will sweep you up. And the way that he starts sort of reading the notebook to her, it sort of starts to sound like you're inside of a story. Like it goes back in time, and then it's sort of these three stories of these three different ages of the characters weave in and out of each other. And it's really beautiful. There's a lot of elements that we get to bring to it that they weren't able to do in the movie just because it's a different medium.
Alicia, we can't get too far into the story because you're going to start making me cry on live television. Obviously, you have such a great history of working on stage. I've got to ask, one of the great roles on stage of the past 100 years is Eliza in Hamilton. I'd love to know what that experience was like for you.
It was great. I was in the original company of the show, so I got to watch it through all the development process and from the very beginning. And we knew that it was going to be something really special. And getting to play Eliza, the first time I played her was in the Chicago company of the show. So I lived here for a while playing Eliza, and it was definitely a huge highlight of my career. Playing that character taught me a lot about myself, and it's iconic. We just had the 10-year anniversary. We got to be on the Tonys again, and like it's something that will definitely be a part of my life forever. And it changed my career. It changed my life, and getting to sort of be a part of that legacy is something that is very rare for a theater actor, and I'm really grateful for it. And I'm sure at some point I'll be back, It'll
honestly,
be there.
I can't wait. Did you say the first time that Hamilton came through Chicago, that you were in that company?
No, I wasn't in the original Chicago company. I was in the original Broadway company.
Fair. Got it.
But
that's
but
amazing.
Eventually, I did play Eliza for a while in Chicago here in 2019.
It's such a brilliant performance, as you always give brilliant performances. Alicia, thank you for taking the time. I know you got 10,000 things going on while you're here. Congratulations on everything, and we'll talk with you soon.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Right, take care. All right, guys. Chicago Live rolls on 2:55. We'll be right back.
Hey there, Chicago Live. Happy Friday to you. My name is Lauren Scafidi, and we have a lot coming up tonight on the news at 4, 5, and 9. I'll be hanging out with you at 5 o'clock, and I just wanted to catch you up on some of the headlines that we are following today, let you know what some of our reporters are covering. Let's start with the story that Casey Cronus is covering, because this has just had everybody in the newsroom just scratching their heads, just trying to wrap their heads around what is going on here. I mean, when you hear more than 50 decomposing bodies found in a South Side funeral home, it just, you have so many questions, right? So this is all happening at the South Chicago Chapel, and this was all found during a state licensing investigation. So the funeral director there and the embalmer there, they had their license temporarily suspended. We started to hear from families a little bit later as the afternoon kind of progressed, and families are just so shocked, so disheartened, and so sad. I mean, really, you think about how painful it is to lose someone, and then to have all of those wounds just reopened when you hear something like this. One of the things that really stood out to me when we were hearing from families of these victims a little bit earlier is they said that they had the ashes of what they thought was their loved one, and she said, I don't know if these are ashes. I don't know if these are just like cigarette ashes. I mean, they could be anything. So just really, really devastating for dozens of families in the Chicagoland area. So Casey Cronus is digging into this a little bit deeper, talking to some more families of these victims. So she's going to have her full report coming up this afternoon. Something else that we're also watching today. Today is the sentencing for Prince Cunningham that happened at 1:30 today. So we're going to let you know how that all went down a little bit later this afternoon. This is happening in Kane County, and actually this was a cold case. You might remember my reporting on it in May. I actually went to the trial where Prince Cunningham was found guilty, but let me catch you up to speed here, because this goes all the way back to 2003. That is when an Aurora woman, her name is Taisha Bell, she went missing. She left her apartment. She was supposed to be on her way to be meeting Prince Cunningham, and her family never heard from her again. Her family didn't have any answers for 17 years. They thought they knew, but had no evidence about what actually happened. So 17 years later, in 2020, Taisha's skull was found in Montgomery. After it was tested, it was found that she had a gunshot wound to her head. Of course, this went to trial, and Prince Cunningham was found guilty in May, 23 years after she was killed. So I talked to her family members in May just about what this meant to them to have some answers finally all of these years later. And in May, they told me that they were looking really forward to the sentencing that's happening today, because they felt like they got some justice when he was found guilty. And now today, hopefully they can kind of just put an end to all of this and get some closure. Moving on to some other things that we are following today. The Austin Green Line station, it is back open. It's been open for exactly 2 hours now. It reopened today at 1 o'clock. We were looking at this live on the Loop as it was happening a little bit earlier today. We heard from Governor J.B. Pritzker. We heard from Mayor Johnson. This really was a big deal, because this is the 6th station now to open under CTA's All Stations Accessibility Program. You've probably heard this called ASAP. This is awesome, because we're talking about a new elevator, a new ramp, some new stairs at that Green Line station so that it's more accessible to more people. This is huge, because we're talking about access to opportunity. That was really the big message today, and that's opportunities for work, for school, for healthcare, for family, for just enjoying all that the city of Chicago has to offer. So that is something that we're going to have a little bit more on later today. We've got some live interviews coming your way. We're talking about the Bears mural that's going up. We're talking to the artist behind that. So we have a lot going on when you join us at 4, 5, and 9. I will see you at 5 o'clock, and we're going to continue with Chicago Live right after this break.
Welcome back to Chicago Live 304. Just about a little less than an hour left in the show before we get to Fox 32 News at 4 o'clock. But for now, Puerto Rico facing a growing water crisis as severe drought conditions force officials to begin water rationing in the San Juan area. Starting Friday, more than 180,000 customer accounts will lose access to water for 48 hours at a time under an alternating schedule. We're going to bring in Billy Ocasio with the National Museum of Puerto Rican Arts and Culture. Billy, good to see you again, sir. Thank you for taking the time.
Great to see you, Jake. Thank you.
So for people who are unfamiliar with the story, talk a little bit about the water rationing and the drought conditions that brought this on.
Well, let me tell you, I think that this is actually a failure on the government side here. They have known about this for years. They have not done what they needed to do. And so people are now, it's a 48-hour rotating, 48 hours on, 48 hours off. And so the people of Puerto Rico are really suffering at this point. And it's not like the government didn't know anything about it. So since 2023, the Financial Oversight and Management Board had reported that the aqueducts and the sewer authority were losing 65% of its water through leaks in their system. So they just have not done anything about it. So, there's three things here. It's really the failure about on three C's that we call colonial status, corruption crisis, and compassion and care. They are just failing on all ends here.
So are you saying that this is less about a severe drought condition and more about the fact that the writing was on the wall years ago, that these issues were inevitable, that they were always going to happen?
The weather may have tipped it, but it's been going on for years, just like the electrical crisis is in Puerto Rico. Water is just the newest thing that people know about. But remember, after the hurricane, you had the whole electrical grid, and it's still going on, where people have rolling rollouts all the time. Power is just being left. Most of the museums in Puerto Rico are suffering because they are having a hard time keeping their masterpieces in good condition because of the electrical grid and the water shortages in Puerto Rico. It's hurting a lot of people.
Well, you say that the government over the past couple of years leading up to this moment, that they didn't do what they needed to do. What was it that they needed to do?
Well, they needed to update their electrical grid. They needed to update their water supplies, their water system. Again, in 2023, the Oversight Board reported this to them and told them that 65% of their system was leaking water, and yet they've done nothing about it. And now you have a big crisis. Now you have hospitals without water. You have people who don't have transportation to get to water. You have elderlies. You have senior homes. Everybody is now suffering because they have failed. The government there has failed. The governor of Puerto Rico, Jennifer Gonzalez, has just not done anything. She hasn't done anything around the power grid of Puerto Rico. She hasn't done anything around the water systems. And now it's hitting the gym part of Puerto Rico, right? It's hitting San Juan, where all of the tourists come in and spend their money. And now that's the only reason why it's in the news now, because it's hit San Juan, Puerto Rico.
What is the government saying?
Well, the government isn't saying anything. They're basically blaming the people. They're saying, in fact, I heard the governor say this morning, well, I can't control the rain. That's not something I could control. Yes, you may not be able to control the rain, but the government is yours to rely on. She has not made a call to the federal government. She has not called Congress. She hasn't called the president, which, remember that she was the president of Latinos for Trump. She hasn't called on them. The government is silent at this point. They need to become transparent. They need to come up with a plan and let the people know what the plan is.
You say that people are suffering. What does daily life look like right now for the people of Puerto Rico?
Well, think about it. You're in July in Puerto Rico, one of the hottest months of the year in Puerto Rico, and yet you have no water, right? People have to decide what they're going to do. Can they bathe? Can they cook? Can they wash their clothes? What can they do? And then for those who don't even have transportation, they're even in a bigger mess. Think about our senior homes. Think about our hospitals who cannot have water. I mean, she has not even come up with an emergency plan on how to deliver water to people. She needs to become transparent, and she needs to let people know, here's the plan. She has not released the plan, only to say that she cannot control the rain in Puerto Rico.
As you mentioned, it's the summer. It's hot in all of our areas. Is it one of the situations that is going to get worse before it gets better?
Oh, of course it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. August,
what does worse look
August
like?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, what does worse look like? Because this sounds bad.
I think worse looks like people dying. People dying because they can't get hydrated. Their vegetables and all of their farms, that's, all going to die as well. Food is going to become a problem for folks. I mean, think about just not having water for 2 days here in Chicago. Here in Chicago. If you didn't have water for 2 days, you'll be going crazy. Think about now being in 100 degrees heat. And that's constant, right? Day and night. So, it just has become a very big issue, and weather may have triggered this, but the political decisions have been awful. They have neglected the people, and people aren't asking for much. They're paying for these services. They pay for their water. They pay for electricity. They don't want any special treatment. They just want to be served.
Billy, are you hearing much from I'd imagine you have, people in Puerto Rico. Are you hearing directly from them?
Well, we hear all the time. We've been hearing about it. We just became an accredited museum, so a lot of people are reaching out to us. But when people reach out to us, not only are they reaching out to congratulate us on our accreditation, but they're reaching out to say, hey, we're in crisis over here. We're trying to figure these things out. And, and we're not getting a response from the government. I mean, the government just has failed in all ends. They have just failed to act. They have not come up with a plan that they have been able to tell the people, here's what we're going to do. Come up with an emergency plan. Let people know what's going to happen. Let them know what to expect. And yet they have not come up with anything. They are neglecting the people of Puerto Rico.
For someone who's listening right now and they think, I can help, let me help, what can I do? What can be done? What can we do?
Well, I think that there are services already in Puerto Rico that you can work with, right? So there's the Red Cross, there's the Central Kitchen. There's a lot of non-for-profits that are delivering. You don't want to send water because it's just never going to get there. So I think that it's better to work with a non-for-profit who's already dealing with this crisis on the island. And to work with those people closely instead of working with the government or trying to send water.
But why, when you say the water's not going to get there, why wouldn't the water get there?
Well, for a lot of different reasons. I mean, here we have, remember during the hurricane, thousands and thousands of cases of water sat on the port because they could not be delivered. Here you have, in the U.S. has the Jones Act, which means that everything has to touch a port in the United States first. You got to pay the taxes there before it could be dispersed in Puerto Rico. Then once it gets to Puerto Rico, they just don't, the government there doesn't have the infrastructure to disperse that water.
All right. Billy Ocasio, National Museum of Puerto Rican Arts and Culture. Billy, always a pleasure, sir. An important issue. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
All right, guys. 3:13, Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back, 3:15. I'm very excited about this. A Chicago summer tradition celebrating Japanese American culture returns this weekend. The Midwest Buddhist Temple's Ginza Holiday Festival runs August 7th through the 9th in Knolltown, marking more than 65 years of bringing food, music, performances, and cultural experiences to the community. We're going to bring in Jason Matsumoto, President, Board of Trustees, Midwest Buddhist Temple. Jason, a pleasure to chat with you, sir. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. For someone who's never been out to this before, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so this is a 3-day festival starting tonight from 5 to 8, and then Saturday and Sunday all day. 71st year. It's cultural performances like kendo, aikido, Japanese drumming, taiko, Japanese dancing, and then a lot of curated, like very highly curated vendors that I think are unique to a Chicago festival.
I got to tell you, during the commercial break, my producer Perry in my ear was talking about the food out there. She said the food is unbelievable.
It's ridiculous. It's a 70. So the staple is this 71-year-old recipe for chicken teriyaki, and it's one of the best pieces of chicken that you'll have all across the city. And we have a very special Japanese snack called kintoki that's sweetened red beans on top of shaved ice. I know it might sound strange, but if your listeners are down to try something new, it's a really incredible dessert.
Always down to try something new. It's funny that you mentioned the chicken because that's specifically what Perry was calling out. I'm assuming that's the one that you were just talking about right there. This is a festival, like you said, been going on more than 65 years, dates back to the 50s, which is crazy. What do you think is the secret to the longevity of this thing?
You know, the Midwest Buddhist Temple, it was founded by Japanese and Japanese Americans who were being who had just been incarcerated during World War II and resettled to Chicago. And I think there's, 10 years after they landed in Chicago, they decided to hold this festival to introduce Japanese culture to the city of Chicago. And legacy families continue to do the same jobs in the same booths as 71 years ago, as well as many folks who've come to the temple who are not Japanese who really appreciate this festival. And I think the familial kind of atmosphere that holds the volunteers together, I think the attendees and the audiences really feel that. And I think it's a very unique festival. So I hope folks can come out this weekend.
Well, it's really cool. You talk about it really feels like the festival is a love letter to the Japanese culture. And for maybe people who've never really experienced it before, could be a really great gateway or an introduction into learning about a culture that maybe they're unfamiliar with.
That's absolutely right. And, across Chicago's 77 neighborhoods, I feel like we are so fortunate to live in a city that has so much diversity in culture. And Ginza holiday and this festival is no different. And in fact, there's 4 Japanese craftspeople who come every year. They just got off a plane a few days ago, and they'll be here showing their work. So it is a really great introduction to the food, the culture, and it's just a great summer festival.
I don't mean to be one of those obnoxious people that says, I went to Japan and I came back and it was amazing. But honestly, I had the great pleasure, the honor of going to Japan earlier this year. And I got to tell you, man, as someone who's, knock on wood, been fortunate because of this job to have gotten to travel to a lot of different places, I think it might be my favorite place I've ever traveled to in my life. And I'm curious if you hear that a lot. Whenever I tell people that, either someone goes, yeah, I've been there, same for me, or someone says, yeah, I hear that a lot. Is that something that you hear a lot?
I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, I think there's something quite magical about, especially being in Japan and being surrounded by such a vastly different culture. But, I think people have been so introduced to Japanese culture here in the States. And so when they go to see what it is like to be surrounded by that, of course, the food is incredible. The various temples, the different shrines, I think, all that stuff, just creates such a lasting memory for people who visit.
You use the word magical. I think that's absolutely right. Can you tell me about some of the performances they're going to be at the festival?
Yeah, so a lot of folks come for taiko. If you've ever seen taiko, there's these big Japanese drums made out of wine barrels, or the original drum's actually a large tree that's carved out, and then drawn with cowhide. And there's 2 different ensembles who play throughout the weekend, which is a big hit for folks. We have kendo, which is Japanese sword fighting, like bamboo sword fighting. And there's a group here that does demonstrations, also very popular. Aikido, which most folks are familiar with. And then there's traditional Japanese dancing called minyo. And this happens throughout, all 3 days. And I think it's, as you mentioned, it's a great introduction, a great way to experience a little bit of Japan.
Can you tell us a little bit about, we mentioned you're with the Midwest Buddhist Temple, a little bit about what that is for people who are unfamiliar?
Absolutely. So the temple has been in the city of Chicago for 81 years. It is a Japanese Buddhism, and the sect is called Jodo Shinshu. And it's one of the more prominent sects of Buddhism in the U.S. It really comes largely from the Japanese American community who came here, in the early 1900s. And Chicago is one of a few temples in the Midwest and the East. There's many of this sect that exists on the West Coast of the U.S. And we practice Jodo Shinshu Buddhism here.
Jason, before we wrap up, can you just give us the hits, runs, and errors of the festival? How much it costs, what parking looks like, and maybe where people can get more information?
Absolutely. So today, tomorrow, and Sunday, it's at 435 West Menominee in Old Town. $5 entry fee, and you will be surrounded by sights, smells, and some of the best food you'll have.
I love it. Jason, we appreciate you, man. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic weekend. Thank you for taking the time. Good to see you.
See you here, Jake.
All right, guys, it is 3:22. A couple minutes left of Chicago Live before we get going with Fox 32 News at 4 o'clock. We got a live look at our beautiful river downtown. More to come. Don't go anywhere. Good Day Chicago rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back, 326 on Chicago Live. You know, I often say sometimes your best guest, they don't require an introduction, they just require an arm gesture.
Oh, me.
There he is.
What
my man JD is here. Good to see you, my friend.
Likewise, Jake.
How are you?
I'm great.
I like the suit.
Thank you.
I like the tie.
Thank you.
I'm feeling underdressed.
Well, you know, I'm a weather geek. I'm putting the geek in this whole thing.
I'm a movie geek, but, you know.
Movie folks are more laid back.
That's what you think.
Weather geeks, well.
That's fair. I do love it whenever our worlds combine. Like when Twisters came out a couple of summers ago.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Well, not the movie, but just the idea of
the thought of the whole thing.
Yeah,
in general.
The general idea of it was great. Do you have a favorite weather movie?
That's a good question.
Those are the only ones I asked you.
Well, I know this. I've seen enough. I think Twister's got to rank up there because it's one of those historic, not the newer one, but the original.
Yeah.
That's one of the big ones. It's kind of the barometer.
I mean, just the cast, you know.
Yes.
You got Philip Seymour Hoffman in a supporting role.
Okay, yeah.
Love that movie. Great movie. Great meteorologist. Thank you for taking the time. Listen, I always begin these segments by I often remind you at home that right in front of us, we've got a big, giant window that overlooks. We're looking south. We're looking toward the South Loop.
There you go.
Yeah, that's one of them. Sure. I mean, look, you know, I took great pride in it just being my window, but if we're going to share it with everybody,
now everyone knows.
Everybody knows where we are. All right, and now we're raising the blind. Okay, now we're making a big theatrical production.
It is. Yeah, it's becoming a thing.
Yeah, now it's becoming a whole thing. But it looks beautiful out there, man. Sure. Look, I got to be honest with you. Caitlin Cody gave me a little bit of a hard time earlier because I anchored the show at 9 a.m.
Okay.
Oh my God, I've been here for a long time.
You've been here for a while.
And it was a little cloudy. It was a little overcast.
Sure.
And I called out the shot, and she took great offense to that. Now, that's not great. Some of the other ones we've taken are beautiful.
Yes.
And I'm not going to use the word beautiful just because we took the shot. That's fine. It's a little cloudy.
Yeah.
One might call that partly cloudy.
Okay.
But you know what? But from here, it looks nice outside.
You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
What does that mean?
Like a great movie, you know, there's always an opinion on either side. Looks can be deceiving this time of year. You look at this and you go, well, the sun's out. There's a few puffy clouds out there.
Keep in mind, I have not been outside since 8 o'clock this morning.
When the fog was out there. It's like that. So it's been a while. It is, it's stuffy.
Okay.
It's a little bit on the muggier side.
Sure.
In some cases, it's like a bag of wet gym socks that hit you in the face. And you go, oh. I mean, it's not terrible.
How do you know what that feels like, JD?
Again, geeks. I have stories.
Oh, stories for another time. All right, so it feels like August.
It feels like summer. That's the thing. Spoiler alert, it gets cold and windy in the winter, and it gets hot and humid in the summertime.
What's that song? Is it Harry Styles?
Which one?
Like summer.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right. That is
right?
Yeah,
Perry?
Nailed it.
Perry would know. Perry's cool. Perry's the cool voice of reason. Yeah.
Us maybe not so much.
But, okay, stuffy, sure. But, listen, and as I think literally just the other day, I was complaining about a lack of days like this. One might say beach day.
Yes, this could very much so be a beach day today. If you want to find somewhere to kind of lay out, soak up the sun, and then when you do...
Oh, look at all the people.
Yeah, one of those, is that one? I think T. Lee's boat might be out there.
Oh, his boat can't fit
That's right, you're right. The yacht.
Area. Come on.
He's got the small
the SS... SST.
I like that. Yeah. So it's one of those days. If you want to be on the beach, on the boat, whatever, fine. Go ahead, jump in the water, keep yourself cool. It's great. If you're not a fan of the heat, if you're not a fan of the humidity, this is not ideal for you. And you're kind of going, well, you know, we've had enough of this. Let's move things along. It's always that weird point in the season once you get to August because the back to school stuff is out there. The kids are already thinking about it. People have probably done most of their summer vacations already, and they're going, well, you know, let's just have a nice little end of summer, into fall.
Yeah, but you know, I always worry because listen, I get that after a while. I think I saw something I think my girlfriend showed me on social media the other day. Someone was already saying, I'm looking forward to the fall things. And I just keep saying, listen, that winter's long.
Yes.
So let's not rush out of this because every day of summer we get is really one less day of winter that we have.
Yes, 100%.
Because we never know, you know, fall is Emily and I were talking about this yesterday. Fall is an uncertainty. You know, we might get a week of it. We might get 2 months of it. Yeah. But winter is going to happen.
Winter's going to stick around.
Yes.
It settles in. It's like that annoying relative that just will not leave.
Exactly
and
right.
it just does all kinds of things. Fall is like the preview trailer to winter. That's
yes.
I usually love fall.
Yep.
But
fall's the best.
But I know what comes after fall.
Exactly right.
And I start dreading fall because I go,
Yeah.
This ain't gonna last. Football's on, great. Hoodies, something in the crock pot. This is wonderful.
Fall football is infinitely better than winter football.
Yes, yes.
One, because there's a good chance, you know, depending on what team you root for, that their season's over by the time winter comes along. Not the Bears.
No.
Right here on Fox 32.
Bingo.
But a lot of teams who shall remain nameless, you know who you are, they're week 3.
Yeah,
week 3, they're done.
You just write them off. You go, well, that was a nice try. We'll try again next year.
They tried. They tried. Speaking of dreading things, starting Sunday, what are we looking at?
There is a chance for some showers and storms. So if I can do my spiel, my thing here, I've got
literally
the fancy.
oh, come on. You and your fancy graphics. This is Chicago Live. We don't do fancy graphics on Chicago Live.
I am a picture book. That's all. I can't read, okay? That's the thing. It's just pictures. That's all that I do, okay?
You read and you point.
I gesticulate at the wall that has nothing in front of it. So storm chances come our way for Sunday and Monday. There may be some stronger storms. There is a chance for some stronger storms, more so Monday than Sunday. So as you're looking ahead to the weekend and going, well, what can I do? What can I not do? Tomorrow, great day to be outside in the afternoon. Sunshine, mid-80s. The humidity actually drops tomorrow. So if you're not a fan of the humidity, tomorrow is a stellar day. It's not going to be super dry in terms of humidity, but just not as thick as today. Then the storm chances come in for Sunday and Monday because the humidity goes back up. Temperatures holding out in the mid-80s for us.
I asked, can you go back to the other side?
Absolutely.
I asked Emily this question yesterday. I want to get your answer.
Yeah.
How much pressure, how much anxiety do you feel about what little graphic to put over which day?
So there's two schools of thought on this. You try to describe the flavor of the day.
Sure.
But at the same time, I've got other supporting graphics to back up some of this stuff. So I can, again, my thought process, if you take a quick 3-second look at this, what can you take away? And you see sunshine on Saturday, and then you see the rain and thunder Sunday. You go, okay, chance of rain Sunday and Monday. But sometimes, as we like to say, the devil's in the details. And the more you go through this, you realize that most of Sunday may be dry in most cases.
Exactly.
Monday, a good chunk of it may be dry. It's just at some point, someone could get that shower or storm, and if they're working outside, have a plant outside or whatever, and they get caught in it, they shouldn't go, well, I didn't know it was going to rain today. Even though people still do.
Well, I wanted to ask, in one of the slides, you had big, giant yellow letters that said storm chances. See, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. What I hear is no storm chances.
Yes.
Chances for no storms.
Exactly. So that's the thing. So Sunday, remember, we're covering a large viewing area here. A lot of folks can pick us up and see us. A lot of folks come in and out of the area. So somewhere in our viewing area, there will likely be some rain and thunder Sunday and Monday, but not necessarily every backyard. I always quip that this is the weather lottery. Many of us will play, few will win. So if you're hoping for rain or storms, you might get nothing. That's the thing. Now, to break this down in more detail, severe weather outlook. Yes, you might have heard about this. There is a level 1 risk on Sunday. Everybody's in this green, which means a marginal chance for a storm to be severe. What is that? It's about a 20% chance of the strongest storm just barely reaching the severe criteria of quarter-size hail or wind gusts around 58 miles per hour. So there's a small chance for that on Sunday. The better chances may be on Monday. This area here being highlighted by the Storm Prediction Center, anywhere from pretty much north central Illinois all the way through to western Pennsylvania. It's still 4 days away. They're kind of doing the broad brush paint stroke right now, Monday afternoon into the evening. I'm thinking based on the latest data, it's going to be more so to our east across portions of Indiana. But if things develop a bit farther west, just keep that in mind as we go into Monday. So chance for a stronger storm or two Sunday into Monday.
And I know that, you're always giving the latest information as you have it, but with anything, the closer you get to it,
you find
more. You're going to know more information. Yes. So, I always like to remind people, when someone says, well, 3 days ago he said this, but today he's saying this, and I go, well, yeah, because he's got more information.
Yes, the forecast
you should be concerned if he just says the same thing.
Yes.
Keep
checking
things
back
change.
on the forecast. They do. It's the butterfly effect. I mean, one thing happens today that then impacts tomorrow, which then impacts what happens on Sunday, that then dominoes into Monday, and now suddenly we got to revamp, which is why we have these forecasts so regularly every hour of the day.
Do you know why I know about the butterfly effect?
How so?
Jurassic Park.
You saw the movie that depicted it full on.
Yeah, I saw chaos. I saw the whole chaos theory.
Now, a moment ago, you mentioned glass half empty, half full, and it's almost like you and I are on the same wavelength today because I prepped this graphic here.
Let me see.
Called half empty versus half full.
Oh, come on.
Seriously, if you are a half full kind of person.
Yep.
In the short term, you've got temperatures in the low to mid 80s for the next handful of days. It's going to be muggy. Yes, a few chances for storms. This is Chi-Town summer. This is the chance to get out there and enjoy.
Right. We're complaining. I literally asked you on, what was it, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Has summer sucked weather-wise?
Yeah,
And we said,
kind of, because it rains.
And so we can't complain about that and then get a day like this and then complain about that.
At
that point, just fast forward to February if that's really what you're looking for.
Bingo. So we got to look at this as being half full, because the half empty approach is that in the long term, which is maybe about a week or so from now, our highs get stuck in the mid 70s. The humidity drops offshore. The sunset time starts this Sunday as our last 8 p.m. sunset until May the 10th.
Don't.
Yeah, I know. And on top of that, September 1st is the start of meteorological fall. 3 weeks later, it's astronomical fall. Kids are heading back to school. Our days in the 90s are actually waning as well. We statistically, after mid-August, only get 4 on average of days 90 or better.
Have we had as many as we're supposed to this summer?
I believe we're running just a skosh above average.
Oh, really? Above?
Yes, because we had that long stretch. July, we had a stretch in June and a stretch in July where it got hot for a while. So that kind of put us over the threshold.
Okay.
There's still, though, plenty of August left to go.
Yeah.
It can still get hot in September.
Yeah.
But we're hitting that downward slide.
I got to be honest with you. The sunset thing concerns me. That's always more than the temperature, more than the humidity.
Yes.
It's the sunset thing that really makes me go, oh, no.
Yeah, because you know it's coming.
It's coming.
When you start going, wait a minute, it's darker earlier.
And I feel like it was just yesterday that we were celebrating that we were having past 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Sunsets.
Yeah. And we got to our pinnacle of like 8:33 in the evening, and it was still light in the sky at 9 p.m. and it was
pendulum
great.
is swinging back the other direction.
So that's my half empty, half full, because some folks look at us and go, yes, bring it on. I'm ready for fall. Others are going, no, it's too short. Why do this to me?
All right. And, again, I'm always, you always hear, people say, well, because we had this kind of summer, we're going to have this. And I always like to remind people that's not a thing.
No,
that's not.
It doesn't. I mean, look back at what we had over the wintertime. We had in February, one of our driest Februaries, we had next to nothing for snowfall in February. And then 2 months later, we had April where we couldn't stop the rain from falling. People were flooding out all over the place. So you keep that mindset, oh, we had a dry winter. We should have had a dry spring. We didn't have a dry spring.
See, but and no sign of potentially what kind of snowfall we might have this winter?
Well, so the big climatologists, and they do this more than what I do, who are focused in on the El Nino thing.
Sure.
It's going to be the
We were talking about
super
this
El
yesterday.
Nino.
Yeah.
So the thought process is that the effect from that would lead us to having some differences in our winter than usual. It could be a warmer winter. Now, warmer than average. Average high temperatures around 30 at some point in time. So warmer than average would be 33.
Sure.
It could still snow at 33. Yeah. Or it could be 40s. And it could be a lot of rain, especially early on in the winter. So to your point from a few minutes ago, each day we can get through the winter where it rains and doesn't snow, that's one less potential snow day that you've got to worry about.
So
you don't like snow.
That's so interesting whenever you talk about, the range of what above average temperatures mean, because we could spend the next couple of weeks saying, hey, we're going to have an above average winter, and then someone steps outside and says, well, it's 33, and you go, yeah, that's above average. Yeah.
Bingo.
See?
That's
the devil's in the detail.
What is it in school? C is average, right?
C is average.
So if you were B minus, hey, you're above average.
Above average,
that
baby.
Doesn't mean you're in the A's.
That's, you know what? That's exactly
my college education. Yeah. I went to school for 8 years, and I'm not a doctor.
C's get degrees, man.
Yes, we do.
Yep. Kids, stay in school,
please.
All right. Anything else we need to know before we head into the weekend? I'm here tomorrow, so I
will be here tomorrow night.
You're doing tomorrow night?
I'm tomorrow night. Yeah. But I'll see you next weekend. I'll be here next weekend for the mornings.
See?
So we got some time.
All right. That's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time.
Yes.
All right. JD, my man, good to see you. Last minute weather movies really quick before we go. Twister's great.
Twister's good.
Day After Tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What other good weather movie is there?
Yeah, I don't know. I always think of Paul Rudd going, the weather outside is weather.
Yes. I do hum the same song because we're cousins.
Wait, Harry just said the Disney one where they make the snow. Like what?
Would that be Frozen?
Frozen?
Is that a weather movie? Here's our new debate.
The way Perry just goes, no.
The Disney one where they make...
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? No. Okay, well, Perry's looking for it right now. I don't know how much time we have to kill before we get it. But it's so funny, yeah. Like I said, you bring up like weather movies, and I feel like we go like Twister, it's Day After Tomorrow, and then there's like
that's about it.
I mean,
what other good weather? I'm at a loss. What other?
Someone's about to get to work on their screenplay tonight.
Well, apparently. I got to start working on this.
Come on, man. Come on. All right, good to see you, my man.
Likewise,
All right, have a great show.
Thank you.
You're going to be on the show starting in about 19 minutes.
Yep, I'll be on the 4, the 5, and the 9 tonight.
You can't hear this, but they're giving us the rap music. All right, guys, it is 3:41. Look at that beauty. See that? I will take that. I will classify that as a beautiful shot. Caitlin, Cody, if you're watching, these are beautiful shots.
Take that.
3:41. Don't go anywhere. Chicago Live wrapping up in just a couple of minutes.
Sale. Don't miss it.
Welcome back. 3:44 on Chicago Live. Chicago's lakefront celebrating the Latin culture this weekend with the return of Latinx Festival at Navy Pier. The free 2-day event features live music, dance performances, local art, and cultural experiences highlighting the diversity of the Latin community. We're going to bring in our friend Miguel, Navy Pier's senior program manager. Miguel, I feel like anytime we get the chance to chat, my man, it means something cool has happened in the neighborhood.
Indeed. We have a big plan scheduled for this weekend for sure.
Tell us a little bit about it. For someone that's never come out before, what can we expect?
Yes, so Latinx is our annual music festival that features over a dozen international performers from all over Latin America. We're talking Venezuela, Cuba, we're talking Miami, we're talking Mexico City, we're talking Colombia. So there's a big diaspora of Latin Americans all over the world. And so we feature international artists and also local Latinx artists from Chicago. So we're going to have a whole lot of that. DJs at the Ferrara Candy Wave Wall stage both days. We're going to have live performances at the Rhythm Beer Garden stage both days. It's going to be 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday, 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Sunday. And we're going to have a local mercadito, Wind Trust Artisan Market that we're going to have at the South Dock of the pier outside with over 15 local businesses, artisan vendors selling really cool things. So definitely invite the whole family to come check out this festival we have planned for y'all.
I love it. It kind of sounds like a one-stop shop for all kinds of things to go and experience. You mentioned some of the artists. What are some of the performances that we're going to see out there?
Man, we have some really special ones for this year. I'm most excited about the Potencia Sonidera takeover at the Wave Wall stage. So this is typically our DJ takeover stage every Saturday leading up to the fireworks. And we're going to have a Cumbia takeover, which is a really rich genre from Latin America. And so you're going to see a lot of different DJs from around Chicago representing, and we're going to have free dance classes as well. So really encourage people to check out that stage. And really for that Saturday, we're going to have Damaris Bojor, we're going to have Audrey Funk, Mr. Power. And then on Sunday, our beer garden headliner is the Mexican Institute of Sound that we're really excited to be bringing for this one. So definitely check out the full lineup on our website, navypier.org, for more information, but definitely a lot of fun for the whole family, both stages.
Miguel, I'm going to ask you a question, and this stays between us. You mentioned these free dance classes. If anyone has little to no dancing skills, is this a good place to start, or are you going to get shown up by people that know what they're doing?
That's a great question. The answer is we are very beginner friendly. You know, a lot of times people don't even know they're coming to a dance class and they end up coming out of it like pros. So I recommend everyone to check it out. But I will say that we will attract some of the professional, people that have been dancing their whole lives. But it's fun to learn from them. So don't be intimidated by that.
Miguel, if I show up to this dance class and I look like an idiot, I'm calling you, man. I'm calling you, and we're going to have a conversation on Chicago Live, and there's going to be some conversations to have. Talk to me about the importance of Navy Pier hosting a cultural event like this.
It's very important because we are the People's Pier, and we like to do programming that represents the entire city and beyond, and that includes cultural programming like this, where we're able to represent diverse genres from different countries and really represent the people that make Chicago so great. And I think we really need to champion that and give spaces for curators like Future Roots, who's one of our curators that really helps bring in these trusted artists and just really amazing talent. So it really just takes everyone to kind of come together as a village and create these moments where we can all feel like we belong. And I think that's what Latinx Festival is really about.
Whenever we talk about festivals, oftentimes we'll say, well, how much does it come out? How much does it cost to come out and check out everything? Navy Pier. So I'm assuming I can just roll up.
That's free 99, correct, for the festival. A lot of festivals have pricey tickets. Here, you're going to be able to just come and walk up to the pier and enjoy all the stages at no cost. So definitely, however that looks like, if it's rideshare transportation or take the CTA, or if you need parking, we have garages here. But definitely recommend finding a way here. Once you're here, the music is free. So definitely really recommend everyone come out and check it out.
Miguel, we just had JD, our meteorologist, on the show, and we hate to say it out loud, but we do have to start addressing the fact that we've got more summer days behind us than we do ahead of us. So I'm sure you guys are trying to squeeze in as much into the remaining days of doing things outside of Navy Pier. I know it's a year-round thing, but outside of Navy Pier as much as possible. What else do you guys have coming up?
Yeah, we got to get the sunny days while we can.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just Latinx is one weekend for us. And then Monday, we're going to have our Movies at the Pier series. So every Monday for the rest of the summer, come check out Cars, come check out some very cool different movies. We had Mean Girls last week. The full lineup is on the website. If you want to come check out a free movie at the pier, that's usually at the Lake Stage in Polk Bros Park. And then we also have our weekly programming series. So we have fitness classes for free every week. We have live music every Thursday and Friday as part of our Skyline Session series. And we have our Wave Wall Wax DJ series every Saturday leading up to the fireworks. So check out all this free programming on our website. And we definitely invite people to come and enjoy the weather here all summer long while we still got the good days ahead of us.
Exactly right. You mentioned the movies at the park. Is that one of the situations where people bring a picnic and a basket and a little food, maybe a bottle of wine, and kind of make a little experience out of it?
It's definitely a type of picnic. Bring your own blanket.
It's a
and
vibe.
Find your best spot on the lawn. Yes, and it is a good time. Movies typically start when it gets a little darker around sunset, a little after 6 p.m. So definitely recommend people check that out. I know Cars is the next one coming up, so we have some folks excited about that.
And it's in that little, was it the Polk Brothers Park? Like kind of like if you're standing at Navy Pier looking toward Lake Point Tower, it's kind of over to the left. Is that right?
Yes, it is right off of our rideshare loop up in the front of the pier on the west end. So definitely check us out. The Lake Stage has lots of fun programming. We actually added a Summer Sundays, so I'd like to invite everyone August 16th from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. I know it's Air and Water Show weekend, but we're going to have a free Summer Sunday for the whole family to enjoy at that same stage, Lake Stage, Polk Bros Park.
Miguel, I got to tell you, all these things, I'm more and more sold by you, and I'm more and more sold by the point man. You have got the television point down. You're doing a great job. Hey, is there a website where people can find? I mean, this is so many different things you guys have going on. In addition to the festival this weekend, is there a good website that people can go and find a calendar?
Yes, our calendar is always getting updated every week with new free and affordable events. You can find that at www.navypier.org.
Let me ask you, you mentioned the air show briefly. Is Navy Pier a pretty decent place to go and post up and watch the air show?
Yeah, everyone comes early every year and finds their spot along the lake to get a good view. And yeah, it tends to be really packed and loud, as you know, if you've been around for that. But it is a fun spot nearby where it's a little off where everyone else congregates, but it definitely is going to be a busy weekend for us, as well as probably the whole city.
Well, and I know, and I'm not sure they still do, but if they still do, for the longest time, all the planes took off out of Gary. So they kind of had to fly right by you guys to get anywhere, really, to take part in the show.
Oh, yeah, and we best believe we hear them when they're practicing leading up to it, too, so that's how we know.
Miguel, do you have a good view from your office of, can you look out the window and see the air and water show?
Yeah, I tend to get a pretty good view, but I like to be outside with the rest of the people. I know we'll have lots of events, so I'll be lucky if I get a chance to come in that weekend. We'll be out having fun with the guests.
Leave your office unlocked. The Chicago Live team's coming out. We're just going to post up in your office and get the good view, but enjoy the air conditioning. Hey, Miguel, thank you for taking the time, man. Have a great weekend. Best of luck to you this weekend, and I'm sure we'll talk with you again about all the other amazing things you guys have going on over at Navy Pier.
Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Give me the point one more time. See, he's got it. I'm telling you. I'm a big fan of Miguel. Thank you, buddy. All right, guys. Wrapping up Chicago Live. Just about 7 minutes left. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Just about 3:56 on Chicago Live. Just a couple minutes left in the show before we get kicked off with Fox 32 News at 4. Let's take some live looks outside. Nice transition into the weekend. It's a beautiful day out there, as JD said, maybe just a little muggy. If you got any plans this weekend, maybe you're heading to the movie theater, good chance Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to continue to rock the box office. The movie has earned $500 million domestically here in the U.S. in about a week. That's the fastest any movie has ever made $500 million in the U.S. ever. In less than a week, it became the highest grossing film of the year, earning over $1 billion. It is the second fastest movie to ever earn $1 billion, right after Avengers Endgame, but it shows no signs of slowing down. Now the big question, just for box office nerds, is no movie in the United States, just domestically, we're not talking around the world box office numbers, no movie has ever earned $1 billion just in the United States. We are starting to think that Spider-Man Brand New Day could be it. Between that and The Odyssey, we got a dinosaur movie opening next week. We got Dune, an Avengers movie coming out a little bit later this year. We are looking at one of the best box office years in years. Can we check in with Casey Cronus right now? I hear she's downstairs ready to go. No, I hear not. Nope, never mind. All right, guys, gave it a shot. 30 seconds left of the show. We're going on over to Fox 32 News at 4 o'clock. I'm Jake Hamilton. It's been Chicago Live. We'll see you bright and early in the morning, myself and Brian Jackson. You don't want to miss it. But for now, have a wonderful rest of your week, a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Real.
"50 decomposing bodies are found inside of a Southside funeral home. We're going to show you what prompted this investigation and why families are worried about